quick. I didn't go far enough.
It's 9 o'clock on Thursday, March the 23rd, at 9 o'clock. This budget setting meeting for the Village of Point Edward. I'm going to do the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi people, referred to collectively as Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment to sustain all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. And at this time, I would like to ask everyone to stand and take a moment of silence as we acknowledge the loss of Thank you. This is one of Larry's favorite days, so. Good questions, right? Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Is there any-
Not
there?
yet.
None?
No, they're not.
If anything comes up throughout the day, then you can certainly bring it forward then. Delegations. No. Okay. So we're going to start with the capital budget for 2023. And the first category is, I'm sorry. I turn it over to Councillor Mondu, who is Chair of the Finance Committee. Tim?
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Village of Point Edward's 2023 budget deliberations. Capital and operating budgets submitted by department staff will be reviewed at this meeting. Staff and management have worked diligently in the past year to limit expenses while maintaining the best level of service possible. Maintenance and upkeep of some village facilities has suffered due to the budget constraints brought on by COVID, and we are still in a period of COVID recovery. The village is entering into its fourth year of collecting the municipal accommodation tax, which we refer to as the MAT tax. We have employed the strategy of using funds generated in the prior year, in this case 2022, for expenses in the current year 2023. As council has a plan for the eventual replacement of the playground equipment in Waterfront Park, we do not anticipate spending the 2022 funds this year. Further planning is underway to determine when this project will be completed, but it looks like 2024 due to approvals required and pending further discussion today. We are currently budgeting $1,550,461 as revenue from the casino for 2023. This is the actual revenue that we received in 2022. Capital budget this year proposes spending of $8,805,642. And this leaves us with a current deficit of $398,541. There will need to be expenses cut or revenues found in this amount to balance the budget. Some of the highlights of the capital budget include an ice resurfacer reserve of $90,000, reserve for roof replacement at the arena of $67,000, a reserve for engine truck replacement at the fire hall for $100,000, roofing and HVAC upgrades at the library and the fire hall for $174,472, replacement of fence and backstop at McCray Park, $58,950, reserve for a large truck replacement at Public Works for $60,000, reconstruction of St. Clair Street, $6 million, Waterfront Park Playground Reserve contribution, $372,950, municipal election reserve of $10,000, asset management planning work, $200,000. That's the capital numbers. The current operating budget proposes a tax rate increase of 19.32%. A 1% increase in taxes generates approximately $28,000 for the village. There are a number of factors which will influence this increase in taxes required to balance the budget in 2023. A number of them are listed below. There's a general rate of inflation of 6 to 8% for the past year. We received a 13.5% increase in our municipal insurance. That's up $32,685. We received an increase on our policing contract of $43,218. Utility costs are up $47,047. And we've used, we're looking to replenish reserves used in 2022 of $240,000. The county of Lambton has established their tax rate for 2023 at 4.02%, which will be blended with the village rate in the education levy, which is determined by the province and not yet completed. This blending impacts the 2023 property tax increase and how it affects our residents. As you can see, we have difficult challenges facing us today to approve budgets that serve to allow the municipality to continue to provide the best service with minimal impact to our taxpayers. And that being said, yes, our first capital budget item will be the Arena Community Hall.
I wonder if you'd like to go through the revenues before we go through the expenses. If you'd like to
Sure.
review those first. Yes. I'm just sharing the screen up. So you can see it up in here. Okay, so the budget document talks about revenue of 1.55 million. That is the same revenue we had last year from the casino. The treasurer and I have been talking about this one a bit in the last couple of days. And the casino was closed for the month of January last year. So we feel comfortable in recommending if you take that 150,000, the $1.5 million number, divided by 11 months, it comes out to about 130,000 a month. Actually, I think if you divide it by 12, it comes out to 130,000 a month. So we'd be comfortable recommending about $100,000 increase to that revenue line. And that, you know, that's making assumptions that the casino is going to operate all year, which, I mean, we don't have any indication that it's not, but the conditions return where the government closes it, would put that number in jeopardy, but based on the casino being open up the whole year, we would feel comfortable recommending that we raise that number by 100,000.
Okay. Anybody have any discussion on that? Definitely right.
I'd like to propose you go 100.5. I think that's a little more optimistic, and more reasonable, and obviously in the long run. So
There is something happening in the West in May, as far as dropping some conditions related to travel restrictions. And there is some optimism through the travel industry and a bridge that it may increase Americans. So I think we could be a little more optimistic, hope for some increase. So I'd support the 150.
I'd support that as well, because I think it affected our February numbers, because I don't think everybody rushed out right away, especially with the closures in the province in January, so I would support that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So Tina, you're gonna capture that. You're gonna do an ongoing
So we don't have to do another.
counting of our number changes. Thank you.
So the transfer from Blue Water dividends is an exact number to offset the budget for replacing the hot water system in the arena. The items all that are shaded there in green are all offsetting revenues to offset the expense to reuse St. Clair Street. The $50,000 subsidy, it was money that was approved last year, but it's all gonna be billed out this year, so we carried it forward into this budget rather than try to have to do a few extra transactions to make that work, so that's really just the bookkeeping thing. And then, transfer to MAP reserves, and that is, that's money that is left over from 2022's generation of MAP tax. So, you know, our goal in the village has been to spend that tax money in the year after we get it. And that is the amount of money that we would have left over if things work, you know, unless we create additional expenses through this budget process.
Any question, Council?
Deputy Mayor?
Why did we jump from 354 to 430?
There was unspent money as well from last year.
Okay, so that's the allotment from the hotel plus any unspent money.
So that's what we have for revenues on the capital side for now.
Yeah, I just have one question on the Blue Water power dividends. That's coming out of the reserve or the reserve.
Yes.
Okay, my reserve number that I see is 107,000. So is there,
Yeah, we don't have the 2022 amount in there yet.
okay. You,
That will be an auditor.
okay, great, thank you. Okay, thank you, CAO Burns, appreciate that. Okay, now we'll go to the arena. And Councilor or Deputy Mayor Grimes. Want to go through this line item, please?
Can I make one comment first?
Sure.
I did add on the concrete floor Olympia room, I added the amount of 20,940 based on that email you sent, Jim.
On the arena floor upgrade.
Yeah,
It was blank spot.
so I took the amount times the taxes, so when we go line by line, that is in there now.
Okay.
So it's 25.
There's two amounts.
Oh,
There's
Yeah,
two different amounts and plus the taxes
One's like-
cover
oh,
contingency.
yeah. I get it.
So I don't know if you want to go through them line by line, or I think,
There you go.
Probably just a little bit of what is it?
Yeah.
For anybody that's listening.
So if you want to walk us through them, Derek, and then we'll let council decide if we're gonna yay or nay.
Some of the items we have this year are ammonia detection system. This is actually an upgrade to our current system we have. Currently, the digital readout is on the inside of the compressor room. This system would give us a readout on the inside and outside, so if it is an alarm, we would know the actual level before anyone enters the compressor room.
And did I read in the quote that there would be a readout at the very front doors of the arena,
Probably at our entrance,
at your entrance?
at our entrance coming in.
Okay. So, or if the fire department had come, they
Yeah.
could see right at the door with.
Yeah.
And then there's a remote switch for the fan, did I see?
That's, we currently have that too.
Okay.
But I think we'll probably move it to the outside of the vest.
Okay.
So this is a really good safety upgrade.
It is, and we did have an incident this past season with the ammonia leak, so.
Yeah.
We brought this on. The second,
Are we good with that then? Vivian? Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
the second item is a second AED. We'd like to locate one down in the back hallway where the new dress rooms are. The current one is in the front lobby with tile floor. This would be obviously by the fountain in the back and give access to people using them dress rooms for a quicker response time.
They're just, and that request came from a recent incident where we actually had to use the defibrillator and we had to run and get it. And everyone realized that we should have one place closer, so
Yes.
that's where this came from. So real life. Thanks.
Next item is an upgrade to our existing security cameras. Currently, we have 8 cameras. This would bring it to 13 and give us an updated hard drive on the existing system. There was some recommendations from the OPP when they did a little analysis of the arena, safety analysis, to have some cameras at the back of the arena on the bridge side. The next item is,
This is with, well, and that's what we're, and that also provides a more panoramic view of the ice, right? One of the
Yes.
cameras. at the
yeah,
press box.
there'll be an additional camera overseeing the lights.
Any comments or questions?
I got a comment on this. Could we use the reserve from, there's too many pages here.
Security
They-
system.
Yeah, that reserve from the security system that's sitting there to cover this, because it is for security costs. And we haven't spent that money.
So I think the intent was to do, that treatment on some of the windows that they were recommending, but I mean, whatever you want to do with it, that's.
You know, I also thought the initial use of that 10,000 was for alarm systems.
Yeah.
So in detection and stuff, but yeah, can go anywhere.
You know, like we had the OPP do the security check on the buildings. So that saved us some money there. I mean, this is one of their recommendations as well as something we wanted to do for the last couple of years. So I'm just wondering, like, you know, we gotta get some numbers down here, so.
Yeah, I go with that.
So that 10,000 is a carry forward number,
Yes.
rather than carry forward it back. You could just have to put in 533 here.
Yes,
Yes.
and use the 10 that's in reserve.
It's not in reserve yet.
So it's from previous years.
Yeah. very
Oh,
important.
very
Okay, sorry.
Tim, Collins.
Yep, go ahead, Paul.
I'm just curious if with this enhanced security, does this help reduce any of our insurance costs? Because I know that was one thing that our insurance went off when we're trying to protect ourselves.
Yeah, I can ask,
Yeah, I realize it would be a question that would have to be asked later, but just something to consider if we're spending money on this. I'm always looking for the operational reductions if we spend money on different things.
The OPP did that analysis in every facility.
And again, our due diligence protects our insurance
Yeah.
company from claims or us from claims.
yeah, I can ask that question.
Okay.
And then my only comment on the camera system is, I noticed the fire department has a quote in for cameras. And you do, but we're using different providers, so I wonder if they're both get approved. Maybe we can look at going to one service provider, or
Sure.
if they can offer savings, if not, don't worry about it. They may be, yeah.
Like
We
the
do
box.
ours ourselves from there.
Oh, do you?
We did it ourselves. We
Okay.
don't hire somebody.
Okay, perfect, okay. Thank you.
Right, the next item is, Ice Resurface Olympia. This is a reserve to replace the Olympia in 2024. There's a little typo there. Our current one is a 2013 Ice Resurfacer, not 2009. Next one is, Olympia.
Hold on, okay, any comments on that one?
I have one question. Is there a trade-in value on our existing one?
So
It's up in
there is
reserve.
one here, and
Okay.
it was just given over the phone.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get a better number this summer when I send them back for inspections.
Just worth mentioning that out loud too.
Yeah, so there would be a trade-in value.
I got a comment on you. Go ahead, Paul.
What's the lifespan on these, samples?
It depends on upkeep, to be honest with you, and we've been told we've done a good job on ours. Originally, we were asked to keep it 8 years. In the past, we kept them 5 years when they were fossil fuel. Propane, every 5 years, that was the best value on trade. We were told with our battery power, the best value on trade would be at 8 years. We're at 10 now. We're just finding we see little issues monthly between down pressure,
Yeah, you
back rims, a parking brake issue. I just don't want it to break down and then we have no Olympia, then we have no ice rentals.
Right.
I don't know what the turnaround would be for a repair on something like that.
So plus it affects the trading.
Yeah, there's obviously the trade value.
You're
is down
getting
every year.
30,000 for trade-in this year?
That was, and I spoke to a previous sales rep from Olympia, who's a good friend of Point Edward, and he wasn't thrilled how they did it, like over the phone, saying it's worth it without looking at it,
Right.
seeing it. Cause he said he knows that's worth more than that, but again, it's gonna have another year of service on it. By the time we trade it in 24.
And sorry, just one question about the batteries. So we spent about 30,000 on batteries last year. So will there be, is there warranty on those batteries? Going
It's
forward?
2-year warranty, so our warranty will be up after next season.
Okay.
Okay, just on that again, what's the expected battery life on those replacements?
I'm assuming it'll be 8 years like the ones we had.
Do you think this trading value, were they aware of the new batteries? Like,
I'm not sure of that. It is a new sales rep that is, I've only met one.
I would hope that they would acknowledge that as for whoever buys it down in 2 years will have. Like, there's obviously more people trade before they put the new batteries in.
Right.
We put the batteries in, and so I hope that would never would go up.
Again, like I said, I can ask for maybe a more concrete number this summer when it's down there.
Yeah. So this is a question to Tina. We're putting in half the amount now, half the amount next year. Should we not be taking off that trade amount on the reserve?
Depends on whether he gets a higher number too
But like-
for next year.
It's
Okay.
not being applied directly to that line item, right? It's being applied to general revenue.
It's going to be in revenue, yes.
Okay, rather than to that line. So it's not like we're getting it for 160,000. We're gonna pay,
And then next year, they might not give him as much of a trade-in.
right?
So you might just have a little bit extra in the reserve. But that can be worked out with the next budget.
Can I make a comment here? Can we delay this 1 year because of the situation we're in financially? Put 0 this year and try to catch it up next year, hoping our revenues increase.
Yes.
So we've already.
Can,
I'm just throwing that out.
So here's, I hear what you're saying. This is our first time putting money in reserve. We have nothing in reserve for this now.
None.
So to extend it a year, I'd be okay with doing 60. But to go 0 to me is just not the right direction. So,
That's kind of a pay me now, pay me later.
yeah. So at least if we do,
Pay for it eventually.
at least if we do 60, at a year 2, it gets in worse shape. We just gotta find another 60 somewhere rather than start from 0, right? So,
I want to start the conversation, right?
yes, yep,
Yeah, appreciate that.
yeah,
And that's why we're not putting any trade-in value in at this point.
right. Yeah, because we might do a 3rd year.
So you want
So I want to take 60 for now.
Well, if your motion was 0, would
Yeah.
you okay with 60 or?
Yeah, I'm okay with 60. I wasn't okay with 90.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Derek.
Yep.
Next item is an Olympia battery edger. This is the edger we use daily to get near the boards. The current one is again 10 years old. We're finding that the motor is failing. That was according to Olympia, it was off gassing. So we have actually resorted to using our propane one for the time being because the battery one is not working properly. Anyone want to comment on that or? Arena barrel roof, this was more of a Imran.
Yeah. So this is, I've been meeting with a few different contractors on this, so we've been proceeding with planning. Imran has prepared an RFP to go out to an engineering firm to put together a bid package on this job. We've got $75,000 in reserve already, plus the 67. We don't know for sure if that's enough money or not. Going to these 2 different contractors, they're not contractors, or the 2 different people I'm working with. We may be able to avoid that tender process, which will save us some money. But the roof is in need of replacement, so it's one of those, budget the money for it. Hopefully there's enough there, and we'll get a price. If there's enough there, we'll move on, and if there's not, we'll come back to council and determine if we want to wait for another year, or if we want to add some money to the budget.
Is it leaking today?
I haven't been around today.
Anybody?
I've just got to, so is this gonna happen this year? That's my question.
If it's approved, like I just said, we've got 75,000, we're adding 67, so we'll have 142,000. If there's enough money here, then yes, we'll have to this year.
Okay.
As far as I know, it can happen this year.
If it goes into 175, then you come back to us.
Exactly.
Reserve
For
money
sure.
or whatever.
To see if you want to move forward with it.
Oh, I've got a proposal. Since this is, you know, it's gonna happen sooner or later, like hopefully sooner. We're holding this mat tax money for the playground. Playground won't be happening this year, next year, however. So could we take and use that for this expense, for this reserve? 67,000, rather than pulling it out of, like, we're tight for money anyways.
You said that every question.
Yeah.
You can do anything.
The answer is yes. The
I'm
answer
just-
is yes.
Throwing this proposal out there, because we've got that money sitting in the bank. And rather, because it looks like we're gonna have to dip into reserves at some point today. So I'm just trying to lessen the impact at this point.
So are you suggesting use this for that and take out any money we're gonna put
I just, use this for like,
and reduce the map and I have by 67,000?
yes, that's what my suggestion is.
I gotta change it.
Thoughts across the board?
Don't do it yet.
Don't do it because I'm not seeing a lot of hands.
The purpose of mat tax is not for capital investment.
So if I may, I've reviewed the agreement just a couple days ago and our agreement is very vague about what mat tax we use for. And the arena is definitely a tourist facility, you know, we host outsiders in there a lot. So it would definitely qualify. The council has always kind of said that they would prefer to use mat tax for capital projects. This is definitely a capital project. So yeah, I think an arena agreement would absolutely meet the requirements of the mat tax.
Yeah, it is a repair, but it's immediate need.
Exactly, it's just, it moves away from the intent of what we wanted to use that money for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't wanna start doing that all the time.
No,
If
but
you pay them that tax to do repairs and things like that, because then we can't do the project.
I understand.
Well, I see the arena as a major tourist draw. It's one of the reasons that our hotels are on a certain fantasy, because they're here for an event. So as far as using that, I'm not in favor of that. But it doesn't mean that Council one who said it.
So I'm not in favor of using mat tax. I just think that mat tax should be something that we more showpiecey kind of things, more things we could celebrate, that we created this new tourist thing, rather than just, a roof is failing, so we put a new one. I think it's just enhancements to the inside of the building, if we wanted to do something like that where people see it. But I don't like seeing it being used as a slush fund for day-to-day maintenance of our facilities or buildings or stuff like that, but no. Later on, I think we're gonna look at replacing the McCray fence with that tax, so it's hard to see.
But, yeah, but that's something more visual than
Yeah,
I've got another suggestion then.
the roof.
Can we use it for the boat, or for the Olympia, living there? You know, because that's more, as you're saying, showpiecey, but it's like, then, you know, it's something that it's more tangible than a roof. Like,
yeah, and
you know,
you could put a
I'm just
sticker
trying to,
right on
you know, because we.
the Olympia
Lots of
saying,
numbers to cut there today,
yeah,
so.
but on the Olympia, you could have a sticker that says, this purchase through. municipal
Proceeds of
donation
that tax.
tax.
I'd be more supportive of that than repairing a roof.
Yeah,
Sonia Lapton. Or like.
yeah,
That's.
yeah, like a partnership, yeah.
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 That I would do more than, in my mind, our intent, our goal.
And I just one other comment, like, I understand, like, we're in a tough situation and we're starting out and we're working through, we may have to come back and revisit some decisions, but I don't want to start a slippery slope of, okay, well, we're really hard up right now, we're gonna use that money to repair a roof. And then all of a sudden that becomes a fund that we use to do things that we normally wouldn't do in that way. Once you start, how you stop, no, so, but the Zamboni again is a tangible item that people come and go out of the arena and, you know, could have a sign on it. I'd be more in favor of that. So,
Okay, so what's,
So. You know,
So do we want to do that now, or do we want to
Want to come back to it?
put it on a list and get back and move it, or do we want to move it now?
why don't we do it now
Okay.
to get a better idea of where we're at as we go?
And the full 90
60,000
automatic,
for the mat,
60.
67. is the number that's
Yeah.
there.
No, 60, because we're gonna do
The Olympia.
and then the other thing.
So the 60K for the Olympia reserve would come out from that.
yes,
Hold on a
And then
second, I'm just gonna.
The roof
give you-
reserve would stay the same.
yes,
Give Tina.
thank you.
And with the provision that when we get it, there would be recognition of where the funds for the Olympia came from somewhere on it. We should have a hat and a sign on it, and a little flashing light. Let us know.
So
when you're ready.
then, where we have the playground, I'll have to lower that amount.
Correct.
All good?
So you want the 60,000 to come out of mat, 67,000 will still stay as a reserve amount.
Correct.
Okay, Derek, next item would be your butter heaters.
Water heaters, this is to replace the entire system, in 2009, when they did the renovation, they added, two electric heaters. In the storage room beside dressing room 1, and they were supplying hot water to dressing room 6, 7, and 8. They failed. There was no way of getting the hot water heaters out of the room because they were the doorway closed. We tied into the existing system for the time being, but we are running out of hot water at times. There would be some efficiency from this, obviously. We were told we were running about 76% efficient on the heaters we have now, hot water heaters we have now. This would bring it closer to 90. There would also be less water use. We won't be using water to melt the ice pit. We tied into that as well.
Any questions? I just have one, so when we really started this discussion, we were looking at having an on-demand system. Is this an on-demand? I see there's boilers and
It's not on
Storage
demand per
tanks.
se.
the hot water goes into a void.
It's a non-condensing system, so they're actually gonna use cool water from, that circulates through the pit to actually circulate that water back through to the dressing rooms and domestic water per se.
Yeah.
But the tanks will be more on demand, as in heating
Okay,
while we're using them, then they'll fire up.
okay. Okay. And just so everyone knows, this is coming out of the Blue Water Power dividends. These are the profits we get from Blue Water Power for efficiency we'll use for this. Is that correct? Okay.
The next item is the east side netting. This is a carry forward item from last year. There was a supplier shortage on monofilament netting. There's additional costs for this year due to the price increase of the material, labor, and also the company using it has to supply their own genie lift now. So that's why there's an additional cost. This is scheduled to be done April 4th. All goes well. Concrete floor in the Olympia room, we just got a quote for this the other day. This is to replace sections of the Olympia room floor where the Olympia drives over with a set of tires. It was repaired a few years ago with, an epoxy flooring, but the whole project did not get completed. There was a checker plate over top that would drive over the checker plate. It has since all worn out back to the original concrete, and rebar is poking through now.
Yeah, that's the amount I put in, 20,920.
Okay.
20,940.
So is it my understanding now that the job, Jim, you cut out the existing damaged concrete and bring it down a bit and then apply checker.
Fill it back up with cement,
Okay,
and
have it.
put the checkerboard so that it, or the checker plate in so that it's level with the cement. Then take it back out so for it to cure and somehow put grommets or something in there that will be able to bolt the checker plate to the cement.
Okay,
So that in 2 or 3 years, if the steel's beat up badly, you can replace it.
and driving on checker plate. Nothing to do, more like a tire.
To wear out the studs on the tire quicker. I think it's cheaper than wearing out
All the time.
concrete or. I think it's what it's for.
Yeah.
And I think his issue with the concrete, how thick it is in that room. He thinks it's pretty thick and it's gonna be a little bit of work to get it out.
So you'll take it right out to
Down,
basically.
redo it, Yeah.
But like the whole floor, or just
No,
that,
just-
just that trough.
trough on each side from the pit all the way to the entrance of the ice surfaces. You can drive off the cement, then there's the grates, then the cement starts to go.
Okay,
He would also fix the piece at the Olympic gate
okay,
to the ice.
right.
Is there any other methods that you use? Just out of curiosity.
Most rinks are concrete floor. I guess ours is just repetitively drive over that same spot all the time. I could look into what they do.
No, I'm just curious. I know, in Watford, they must have like a plastic piece down right at the edge. Just curious how that would work for them. I don't know if that's
Probably should ever replace it.
durability or constant replacement. I just, off the top of my head, because I obviously see a lot of different places, and I know I've seen, I was in Wartown last week, and they have the tracks where you can see that the tires are wearing out there too.
Yeah.
The contractor was gonna talk to a couple of other arenas and see what if they had this situation, how they've dealt with it in the past.
Yeah.
And, if you see anything that works well somewhere, we're definitely willing to
Yeah, I just,
look at it.
I was on the ice in Watford last night, and they have a plastic piece that's down, and they can shove it over it easier too. And they don't get a lot of foot traffic there.
Yeah. That's our
It's the
main
main hazard.
walkway too, right?
That's why I was just wondering if.
Do they have
that
a
was-
threshold or Watford too, or is it flush with the ice?
There's a little threshold, because I had to shovel it once, the guy left some snow on the ice, and I remember hitting that spot with the
Yeah.
shovel, so. There is that little lip there.
So I guess the question becomes the priority of this for this year. Does it consensus we feel that we could drive on this for another year?
So this year, the epoxy and the resin floor was getting caught in the tires and we were bringing it out on the ice. So for this year, we laid carpets,
Yes, yeah,
carpet runners down. We wore them out now.
yeah.
It is the end of the season. I mean, it could be something in the carpet twice next year. It is quite significant though.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see how, like, they're 1.5 or 2 inches, just how far it's cut into us. And it's
So I guess the question, do we delay for a year and get more options to bring back? Or do we move ahead and allocate 20K and it becomes cheaper? Do you find it a cheaper option?
Yeah.
We go with it? Or do we allocate the 20K?
My opinion is it's an issue that needs to be dealt with sooner than later, I think.
My concern is the rebar. bolting through.
Yes, yeah.
That start puncturing tires.
Yeah.
And we only have one spare tire, and then we're back.
That will buy you time to look at a future option. as
I'm not
well.
opposed to that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't.
there's other
think
options,
that's
but
a
other quotes. I mean, there maybe there's contractors that can do something or have another idea.
Maybe you can talk to your Olympia salesperson, see if they
Yeah.
know of anything.
Yeah, they might have solutions too. So,
Can't be a thing that's only affecting the village. It's
No,
gonna
I
be-
sure it's
So,
Yeah, because almost everybody in that county has an Olympia, so they would be in every rank.
Yeah,
And they
and
would
as long as
have-
they're using studded tires, then
Yeah,
good comparison.
So I think we should, personally, I think at least for now, leave the money there, put the money in. see where we come out at the end of the day, but. You know, if we can do some more research, people can spend it.
Everyone in favor then?
Sure.
Okay, sure. And then the session.
Go ahead.
We never had this reserve before, and I know we talked about creating it, we had to get the hot chocolate machine, but I would suggest could we cut it to 2,000 as a start? Say 500.
Well, I was looking on the operating side, we've got 1,000 in the operating budget for this. I'd like to see if we could, cut this back or just delay it, not do it this year, because we've got 1,000 in the operating.
So the money that's in the operating budget is different from that, like this is for equipment replacement, that
Yes.
type of thing, where the operating would be for. You know, repairs.
Repairs?
And I mean, yeah, we didn't spend very much of it in 2022, but it wouldn't take much, you know, if something went wrong. If we had to clean the hood or something like that,
Replace the hood.
you know, it wouldn't take long to go through $1,000.
So this reserve is equipment, so I would suggest cutting it. Into other channels.
2,000.
Or, I mean, we could go 1,500. I'm just saying it's, we never did it before. We
Yes.
were trying to be prudent to put something away, but maybe we could start with a smaller amount.
1,500?
1,500.
Okay, sure. You got that, Tina?
Money to do with this.
It's 1,000. How many hours?
Okay.
No, we got some.
We got
Mr. Chair, you want to continue on to community hall then?
Sure.
Okay. Fair.
Community honor, if you want to speak.
Yeah, I can speak. So this is refrigeration work and new cutlery and plates they bought at the Options Club bought them for the arena last year. The plates and silverware, they asked us last year for money to buy them. We said no. They went ahead and bought them anyway with their own money, but they're asking for a contribution towards it. The fridge that was repaired is the walk-in, with the built-in fridge that's there. And it, like, I think it was a compressor that had to be replaced on it. I mean, to have it working, it needed work on it, so they went ahead and did it. And, you know, they definitely did not follow the process for it. You know, for spending municipal fund, you don't usually go spend the money and then ask for it afterwards. Having said that, the fridge is ours. It's part of the building. They should have talked to us about it before they went ahead with it, but. So, you know, I don't think they're expecting the full amount. They're looking for a contribution and, part of their argument is, you know, they paid for it, but anything we give them, they give back to the community in different ways. That's kind of.
Any comments on this? Anybody?
I can support something, but probably not like kind of content.
I was gonna say 50 cents on the dollar was kind of my suggestion.
I understand the fridge, the other items, the fridge is a need to, right?
I think you have to remember too, the club did quite well. The village brokered quite a sweetheart deal for them to run the clinics in there. And
But that's going.
I think Kate kept them going, gave them quite a bit of funds, so. For them to invest that back into the building was very good, but I think, I think,
So,
and again, Nick, you said,
you have a dollar amount?
every dollar we take from them is a dollar less going into the community and the youth and sports
Yeah.
and all their contributions. At the same time, every dollar we give them is a taxpayer dollar. So
So it's about a little under 8,000 between the ice maker and the fridge repair.
those are both our,
Right around $8,000.
and those are our.
Yeah. Yeah, we own them.
So we go for it, how about 8,000? Is that fair? And, you know, maybe we need to
Yeah, that's been done.
okay,
That's been done.
Yeah, they said to Jim, I just attached a letter to the check.
because this was a little bit of
Re-explaining
a
our-
surprise to see this dollar amount,
It's been communicated.
so, anybody have a different number, 8,000? Is
Yeah, that's close to what I was proposing, 50 cents to the dollar was.
that good? Okay. That's the only community hall item.
Yeah. They eliminated the tables previously.
Yep. Okay.
Go to Public Works and Parks then.
I got a meeting at 10. Can I just go quickly for my EM part, please? Nope.
Yep.
I'm going to do the fire next. I just was thinking, because we're doing it by committee, but I
Oh,
can do it any way you
All
want.
right,
Claudia's got-
you said 2 items there for emergency management,
That's fine. I have no concern at all.
okay? Go ahead, Claudia,
Anybody know?
we'll work with you.
Let me see here. So the cameras were alluded to there, so the recorder that we currently have at the fire hall that serves the building exterior and interior, it's failing. So it's on its last leg, so this cost is to replace the recording unit and then add an additional camera in the east back corner where the new garage door is, because right now there's no coverage in that area, and that's kind of a cubby hole for
Oh, yeah.
for people going in there, so that would be a new camera and then a new recording unit. As I mentioned in the letter, so this serves as our fire hall, obviously protects our responders' vehicles when they're on calls. And then it's our EOC, so there's a security component for the EOC. If we're ever operating during an emergency, we have eyes around the building. That was through Ultra Guard, and as the chief mentioned, that's just the equipment. We would do the installation. Run the wire for the new camera. And that's reusing the existing cameras plus the new one. And then, any questions on that one?
Sounds good. And your standard public education,
Yes.
that's fine.
Yeah, and then this year with the exercise, the drinking water exercise, there might be some additional costs with advertising that and getting that, the publicity for that, so. I'd like to see that amount stay if possible.
Anybody have any issues?
No.
No? Okay, we're good. Audio's items. You dismissed.
Take some muffins.
Okay. Sit down, excessive.
I don't know if you want to go and do it in the order that's on here, do fire next, or do Public Works.
Well, I was thinking public works that falls in under the operations.
Did you get it all done? So great. Yeah.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Morning, Mike. So thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. So somebody will do together because of the much history you have. A little bit will go here. Yes, no problem. I'm here for you. Heavy truck replacement reserve is, how much is in the reserve now?
40,000. 40,000.
Asking for another 60. I chatted with Jim a bit about this yesterday. And I know we're on a path to replace the operations manager role in a new role. And I'm hoping that, I guess the question I was going, but do we need those great big dump trucks that we only use to plow rate? We don't move dirt, we don't move gravel that much, right?
Not much, we do a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. But we could hire for what's dump truck, 850,000 or
No, I think.
400?
Well, yeah, these ones aren't the big ones.
3 or 4.
3 or 4, yeah, yeah. And then you can hire somebody to move 2 piles of dirt every year for a lot less. But I don't know, I'm saying I'd like to see a study on where our trucks are, what we need, what we should have.
And that's why we propose just to create a large truck reserve. We're not saying we're gonna buy
A dump truck.
tandem axle, a single axle, 1 ton. We know we need to do something.
Yes, yeah.
And so we want to put money into reserve, and then when the new person comes on, work in conjunction with the Public Works guys to figure out what piece of equipment would be best for their needs. And so that, yeah, we're just saying a general reserve for.
So you say we have 40 in there now? Could we put 40 in again this year?
So there's a chance to save some.
Well, I'd just like to make a comment on that, and I've done it in the past. People aren't buying big trucks anymore. They're leasing them. financing. Who has $300,000 put by 300 to 400 buy a vehicle? So I got, I've talked to people in the industry and they're saying nobody buys. Nobody has that capital to put out. They don't want to put that capital out.
I think there's some benefit to that to be investigated too, because I believe with leasing, there is some maintenance costs that are incurred by the ownership.
Yeah, it depends on what the lease is, because, you go to the dealer and the dealer will work through a third party to lease it. Whatever.
So that can also be part of that report or study that is done by the new person, so. We all see with 40?
Just a quick question. Does that become an operating expense because it's not capital anymore?
Well,
Just curious how that.
it might
affects
be a
our-
capital still.
Yeah, it could still,
It
it
can still
can
have
do
a
whatever you
capital
want,
side.
right?
Yeah.
I
Cover
mean,
your payments for the year.
yeah, it would be fine to leave it capital.
Okay, yeah, just curious how that would.
Throw this one out. So if we really aren't sure what we're gonna do yet, we're going to do a study. Can we go lower than 40?
Well, what do we have today?
We have 40.
They're 40.
We started with 60.
We have
Oh,
40.
What do we have in the
existing.
reserve today?
40 in the
30.
reserve.
They're requesting 60. I
We
cut
need
it down to
30.
30. There's $30,000 to save.
Do we need to put anything in? Now, I know what you're saying,
That's what we say.
and I'm one to build reserves,
Yeah,
but with this unknown. I don't know, would that give us, I know we talked about, when we were talking about the one ton, we put 50 in last year, I believe. And that would cover payments for a year or so, we figured, right? When we had that discussion, so
I think we need to put something.
Yeah, but my caution on going to zero is these trucks are older.
Yeah.
They are failing. They don't get a lot of use, but on a snow event day, they save us. And so if we don't maintain them, we're replacing them. So I think 30 would be very fair, my personal opinion, but it's majority.
You can also be sure we're not gonna spend the money.
no, I know.
Nobody
no, we
knows.
never do that.
You can go buy a $30,000 big truck. Then go right ahead.
Yeah,
But with the 40, that'd be
With the
something.
47, you can
I'm sorry about a couple last year, 100 plus.
Okay, so we've
Okay.
changed it to 30, Tina, please. The pickup truck half ton, now this is the one I recall us saying we were gonna lease this. And yet it's back to capital item. What's the situation on this? Do you know, Mike?
So I know we had some research on pricing on the new vehicles because we are short. We lost I think we had a 2003 that was taken out of service back in the summer. So now, and then we have another one, I believe that's 2007, that's getting closer to an end of life cycle as well with rust and bodywork on it. So we were just looking to get some numbers for a replacement to keep up with our requirements.
So this is a half ton, which is just a normal.
Yeah, it
Pickup truck?
would be a normal, like a extra cab, everyday use kind of
Just
thing.
like what's out there.
What's
now.
of it, right?
Is there any money in reserve right now for this?
But is this the one this isn't the one we budgeted last year? The 1 ton,
no, this is a half ton pickup.
okay. Remember the 1 ton
We did do something,
That's part of the reserve.
We put 50 in
we just put
reserve.
it back into the.
Not.
Let me see if I can find that.
One ton.
You have the reserve?
So the 1 ton we were gonna finance, remember?
Yeah,
Jason, you have.
One ton went to the heavy.
Yeah.
That was the heavy truck.
Yeah.
Oh,
It switched to the heavy truck title.
Oh,
So this 40,000 is here.
and then isn't there an amount we're gonna have 20,000 and after this budget, I'm gonna combine the two? So I think we might have 60 in there.
Okay, I'm looking, dump truck replacement says here there's 40,000. 1 ton truck, there's 50,000 in reserve, so it's 90,000 in reserve
Okay.
for a heavy truck.
So once we rename this to heavy truck replacement reserve, those two amounts are gonna go together.
it will have, so that's 90
And then plus this 30.
plus the 30, something 20.
So could we decrease this amount a little bit? Use that?
or is it to buy a truck and have something left over for the other fund? I'm not sure. I'm too confused on the weekend here.
So is the truck being replaced with this half ton proposal? It can be a truck that's gonna be disappearing from our.
There, There was one that we were using last year that has been eliminated from that group of vehicles.
That's the 03.
Yeah.
That's the one that came from the sewage plant.
Correct.
It was already eliminated. So now we're on our second elimination. of the
Correct.
truck.
This could be an official elimination.
We make that truck disappear.
This is the double elimination.
When we replaced it once, we gave it life support.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it did so.
And now it's, you want to replace it again.
You could, yeah, they're investigating for their buyer. It should be replaced. That's legal.
But will another truck leave the fleet or we
There
would be
is-
plus one?
There is another one that will be leaving the fleet shortly, like I'm gonna say within a 2-year basis. So
The 2007.
What I'm trying to get at is if we buy this truck, we will be up one truck across the village.
Well, he went down one,
That one we even.
No, we can do
the
that.
2003.
But the 2003 was replaced 4 years ago.
Yes,
Oh, I thought it was.
yeah, that's had life.
Yeah. It was replaced 4 years ago, so it couldn't be repaired. It was
Okay.
all
I thought-
repaired it, all repaired it.
Okay,
And then we kept it alive and it served its purpose for the students and
Okay.
for the arena guys used it. And now we're being asked to replace it again. I used to do this at Rogers a lot, replace. So as long as, if we do this, just so we understand, we are adding a vehicle to our fleet.
we are also preparing for the loss of the 2007.
But we should be able to get through, yeah,
Right.
it should get us through.
Like
this
your-
year. Yeah.
We'll get through this.
But when the 07's replaced, they're gonna come back to us for another one.
But then you might be able to put it on for a while because you have a newer truck.
Yeah.
Just to get some different age groups.
Correct. That's it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay, so the question is, are we,
You're asking for money.
question, are we okay with this half-ton truck?
Okay, and I just wanted to clarify for Bev
Yep,
and Lauren, the pickup truck has nothing to do with the heavy truck.
Right,
replacement
right.
reserve.
right.
They're two different.
They're separate. Could we also decrease this one a little bit, the reserves, it's not being replaced this year, right? Be replaced next year.
No, this half
Oh,
ton
they
truck
want
is a
this year. They want
different
it now.
purchase.
Oh, okay.
We can look into leasing too. I mean, it's a possibility. I think.
I think we really have to because
Yeah.
like, we don't have, like, the capital side is, we're tight. I think we should look at that. We talked about it last year for the.
But it will probably go through capital.
Yeah. we'll go through
But it
capital.
would be less
But if
money
they-
than buying outright.
It would just be a year's lease payment. And every year you would make a 5-year commitment or whatever. That's what
To
we
me, I
spoke
think
about
you need
last year.
to look at, you know, you have somebody that's got the expertise, a little bit of expertise to go in and do an analysis of leasing versus purchasing. And there's costs both ways.
There's end of lease cost.
Yeah.
So you either return it or we keep it, then we gotta come up with a chunk of money to keep it. I think trucks of this nature, the half tons, the utility vehicles, we should be purchasing. Leasing, I think, should be reserved for some of our specialty things like the dump trucks, the front end loader, I think, but I think these work trucks that are just everyday use. Cause we keep them 10, 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So,
They really earned their keep, I think.
yeah.
And my concern on the work vehicle is when you return your lease, the paint chip, the
Yeah.
wear and tear of the vehicle, that might be costs at the end when it comes back in, but. And we don't know what those costs would be until we've used it for the duration of the lease.
Then I think we should ask for, again, the report on purchasing versus leasing for a municipality and whether the pros, and I'm sure people have tried it and there's pros. and
Well, I'm
cons.
sure we could get information from the county, from
Yeah.
Basic Coal, they probably reviewed it themselves.
They may have it.
I mean, for the size of their
I
fleet.
spoke to Jason
Yeah.
about this.
Okay,
And I don't believe they had looked at it. He was quite surprised and quite enthused that possibly this is a way for them to maybe save some capital money and that we just take out that, so.
So what I would suggest is leaving the money in the budget. Getting a report from someone.
Yeah.
Doing some research about capital, about leasing versus purchasing and, you know, and then if we purchase, the money's there. If we don't. The money's there for a lease. If we choose a lease, the money's there for the lease as well.
But do we want to delay that long?
I mean, if we don't get this vehicle for a few months, I mean, do what you can do.
I think it's gonna be longer than that, right? You're gonna be
Couldn't you get something done by September?
Well, the time we hire somebody and get,
No.
and then in an inventory, like
I
inventory.
wasn't thinking of the higher person. I was thinking of maybe being able to do some research from the city of Sarnia or the county or someone that's
Right.
done some work in that. I wasn't looking at that long-term person.
Okay, gotcha.
I think this exists somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I remember some of the newsletters and publications that come through my email. Whether it was Municipal World or AMOs.
Yeah.
They did a report on leasing for municipalities and I think it exists somewhere and, went back and looked at some of those. They've done a report on it. Just a generic, if you're considering this is things we found out.
All right.
Jason has.
Just to know, for Sarnia, for years, Sarnia's done, through Enterprise Rental. They actually, like a lot of their summer
Yeah.
parks, rec trucks, they do rentals. They do like a commercial rental for the summer or whatever. And they just, you rent them, you take them back.
Yeah, it seemed like,
So it's not a lease, it's an actual rental program. Sarnia's done it for years.
and they put a little sticker on it, temporary sticker or magnet, and yeah, they're all
Just
different
something we
colors.
want to look into.
Okay, so we're leaving the 64, 690, we're looking for staff to come back with recommendations. So just to go down the list, so the dump truck reserve is gonna become heavy truck replacement, right?
Yeah.
It's one line item. The attachments for the tractor, I think we can just, oh, sorry.
Sorry, you skipped the road sweeper, I think.
Those are all out.
Oh, we did eliminate that.
Yeah,
Sorry. Very great, because I knew that we talked about not doing that and continuing to do a rental.
I think that can be just removed, and then
Okay,
all the tractor attachments, I think we can just take.
Those
off.
are all out already.
But I mean, just,
Oh,
like-
like for,
I can say, so they don't show up next year, because we're not gonna go ahead.
they're not gonna be deferred.
Yeah, just get rid of it. The turf cutter, I think, also can just be struck from the budget, because I think there's an agreement that we use it so little, we just rent one if we have to do turf cutting. Just so you don't have to
Come back.
defer them.
Okay.
Now the new plow for the dump truck.
Yeah, one of the, so we have two cone plows that we use right now with the bigger trucks. And one of them is older than, or the older one is starting to rust out at the bottom. We've already replaced the cutting edge on it. So the maintenance costs on that are increasing. And so what we're looking at now is the city has gone with an articulating plow that you can, so ours are stationary right now. The articulating ones will allow us to do corners a little bit better, so as you're going, as the first truck plows through, the second truck come along, the curb will be able to kind of contour the road as well, which will save us a little bit of time. Because right now, when we go through with both plows, then we go back the next day or later on that day with extra vehicles that have articulating plows and we'll clear corners and stuff. So if we can our idea here is just kind of save a step. Obviously save a little bit of with that too. So that's what we're looking at with that.
So this, if I can, this articulating plow would fit on the existing dump truck.
Correct.
If we buy another dump truck, it'll move to that one.
Yeah, sometimes the harness that attaches the plow to the truck will need a little bit of an adjustment, but whoever we were talking to, that quote from, they said it's weird.
And would it attach to a 1 ton, or is this too much plow for 1 ton?
Yeah, I'm gonna assume it's too much plow for the 1 ton, but we do have, if we were to get a 1 ton, we still have some of our existing pickup trucks have smaller, like a 6-foot plow on them.
So the plowing routine would be the fixed one would go first down the road, and then the articulated one would come on, be the second truck, and would do up against the curb and do the turns, right?
Correct.
I know people like to have the corners turned.
They certainly do.
Yes, they.
well, also when you said you've already had to put money into repairing the rusting out
Mhm.
blades or
Yeah, just-
edge, so it sounds like it will need to be replaced.
Any of those ones?
No.
We good to go then?
Leave that there.
Tree trimming, we have $9,000 for the monument and cenotaph repairs.
Tree trimming?
Tree trimming is 10,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
and then when it's 9,
We've got, are you make a comment on that? We've got our couple guys trained like yourself now, trained on tree trimming, so I'd like to see this cut back. and replacements?
Not a good idea.
Oh.
It's not, I mean,
No?
you're right, our guys do tree trimming, but there's also a lot of trees they can't trim because of the hydro lines.
Okay.
And it's not just, it's also the planting of trees on the boulevard, right? So it's,
This is when you have big storms and they come in and do the repairs, so we can hire out.
Oh, that's an expense, I thought. When we have Bernie come in to do the cleanup.
Oh.
Isn't that on the expense?
there
Operation.
could be something in operations too, that there might be money in both sides. But it's
garden.
like, there's both, there's routine trimming of trees that's done. Planned trimming, and then there's storm stuff too, like. It's, the guys do what they can. But
Yeah, when it comes to using like a bigger, if we have to use if we have to use a genie on a tree
Yeah,
or
oh,
something,
no.
that's.
I know, that's outside of us, right?
And they're not, like, it's not because, like, I believe it was you and, yeah, Corey went for training, but we've had people trained all along, and it's not, they're not capable of doing more. There's some more people capable of doing it.
Tim,
Yes,
this has been cut back over the years. There used to be 2 separate lines, one for tree trimming and one for boulevard trees.
yes,
One used to be 10,000, one was 8,000, so it is.
okay,
So you see.
okay, good, thank you. Yeah, I'm good with this, but
So I just have a question. Should the boulevard trees go in this budget, like capital budget, and then the trimming, would that not go in operation?
Kind of a combination. That's what we use, like I just said, it used to be separated,
Mhm.
and then when we lowered the amount, we just put them both together.
Okay, I just see the tree trimming as operations of the village and the boulevard trees are the capital. That's all.
So most of this is for boulevard trees.
Okay, so I think there's consensus to leave it at 10. Park at 9,000. Do we have a quote on that?
No,
That's, it's just 9,040 seems.
No, it doesn't.
I think there was some
Amount from a couple
information,
years
yeah.
ago, it just cut.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was a quote a few years ago, and that's what.
So if we approve this, can we work with the service club to get their input and also see if they can apply for any grants towards this? I know they said there was some Veterans Affairs grants years ago that can support preservation and repair and because I know that Gary
Yeah.
would show interest in doing that. I think
I was just gonna say the same thing about federal funding. I think exists through the Veterans Affairs.
this is not tax anyways, so we'll,
is it?
That's what that-
I see, it, but I thought
so it would be that would give us back some money in the mat tax, right?
If they take that grant.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
That would lessen the blow.
so. This is staying in math then, because I know in the intro we said we're not going to touch math because the playground.
This was already designated.
yeah.
Okay,
This is
sorry.
for like before.
Oh, okay, gotcha, thank you. Okay. Waterfront park materials, 1 student annual cost. Let's chat with that. That's just the salary for one of the students, is it not, and like flowers?
Yeah.
Okay. Crack ceiling, we took that out. Catch basins recommended every year by Imran, but we used to do it every other, is that not correct?
It used to be every third,
Every third.
and then I think when Jay started, went to trying to do it every other year, I believe. And then Enron is recommending that every year.
And is that all of them every year or a third of them every year?
Try to do all.
And then maybe I can throw a question to Jay. Like, are they pulling out more stuff? Like, is it necessary to do it every year? Is it,
Honestly, that's in public works.
okay, sorry,
Why?
have you heard anecdotally, like, is it? I was thinking, if we used to do it every 3 years, now we're doing it every year, are they just pulling out 3 leaves every year?
No, I think they pull out a fair bit of stuff every year. I'm not, like I said, I don't know exactly why he wants it every year. I know there's parts in the asset management stuff he's looking at. I don't know I have no idea exactly what his grounds were.
So I think his thinking was, it's gonna cut down on wear and tear on the pumps, the storm system, as well as have less likelihood of a drain clogging. I mean, if it's covered in leaves, it's still gonna clog, but it won't be because of dirt buildup in the catch base.
And do we know what other municipalities do? Does Sarnia do all theirs every year? Does,
Sarnia is also has their own back truck,
right,
so they have their own equipment.
so they'd be able to respond if one's plugged, they could do it on a Tuesday if they needed to.
We haven't had a problem with during storms. The only time we get any flooding is when the catch basins themselves, like the catch basin top is covered. We haven't had any closed sewers currently in the village since I've been here. We fix them. There's not that much sediment in them, so we're going on an every other year, going half every other year. I don't think it's a major issue, but
This was, looking back at this, we spent 26.4 in 21, so I'm assuming that was, is that a whole, everything done then? And we hadn't spent anything last year? Don't know. I think it's a lot of money. I'd like to see it go back.
I would say hold off, my suggestion is hold off on moving to every year, when we get another person potentially they can do a review on whether once a year is required, so just hold off on making that change.
But it looks like this is the second year, if nothing was done last year.
Nothing that much. Or do you have,
Or do we do them all this year
And
and then
then,
go every other if. the
Then
new
start
order-
fresh with
yeah,
possibly a new.
Because we didn't do them at all last year.
okay,
We're becoming negligent with the maintenance of those.
I didn't realize that, so.
Yeah, I didn't either till
Yeah.
Tim brought it.
I thought we were doing it on a rotating basis.
Well, there was the other. was
For one year, then a different one, so it was like a rotating basis. We were
That's
doing
the-
some work on it every year.
That's
That's what
something
we
different.
used to do.
Yeah,
And then, like I said, when Jay came, we went half and half,
yeah.
and then Imran, oh, we should be doing
We
it all.
didn't want to do nothing.
Yeah.
And there was always money put in that budget line.
but I
because
think
some
that
of them got
our COVID and everything and
Yeah.
facts, I think it just didn't get done.
Okay, then
Do you want to have that? 15? Do
I
half?
think we need to do it, though. We didn't do it. We didn't do it last year.
Okay.
And then going forward,
Going forward,
same
okay.
recommended every other year.
To let,
Or
let
let the
Jay and a
person-
new person
Yeah.
Yeah.
Review.
work on it, and come back with a recommendation.
So we'll do them all this year, so we know they're in good shape,
And you know where you're
and
at.
then a recommendation from point what we would like this.
further in here, there's a very large item for storm sewer, catch basin cleaning, lateral camera work. Again, that is stuff to do with asset management. If they're gonna be cleaning them out and cameraing everything, like, I don't know if this is overlap or if this has been figured in.
So to do the camera, they'd have to clean them out, you think?
It'd be a waste of time if you didn't. So I don't know if that was all planned in that project. Again, that wasn't my project, so I don't know where or what exactly they've got planned for that, but if you're gonna do all the camera work, I'm assuming the cleaner, unless this is on top of the other project, I don't know that.
Well, it's certainly, they're two different items, but
Like,
right, they should be done in conjunction.
Yeah. There's
Why don't we
one,
bury that in that. So why don't we drop this to 15 this year? So that we have the money moving forward.
Can I
Right.
make a comment?
Yes, please.
So the catch basins are actual work being done. The 200,000 is assessments. Not the actual work, right?
But the work's gonna have to do the assessment, catch basin, and the lead are gonna have to clean.
So work
Right, so
first. then
Just so we
assessment.
all
Like,
understand. what-
to get the camera, they should have to clean it.
But if that 200,000, that's not gonna, might suggest that needs done, but it's not gonna actually,
No, so what the 200,000 is gonna do is gonna pay somebody to come in and clean. Like, the
Create access.
the lead across the road,
okay,
and clean it, that kind of stuff, and then pay to put a camera in to do an assessment of the work. And then input that information into our asset management plan.
so I
We-
think until we get to that line. Leave the 30,000 in until you guys discuss that 200,000.
I think Jay makes a very good point, the two should be considered in conjunction, like,
Yeah,
we shouldn't spend $30,000 to have somebody go and clean out a bunch of catch basins. And then have to redo it a little bit. Do it together, so they clean the catch basin, they clean the lead, they run the camera, move on to the next one. Whatever you decide to spend, you decide to spend. But I think what Jay is saying is don't do one without the other.
Right.
Right? Basically.
Yeah, and I just don't know whether there was an allowance with the $200,000 project.
Yeah.
for
The
any-
$200,000 number is picked out of the air. It's just a number that there's work that needs to be done.
Well, there's
We
no
don't,
quote
we,
yet.
we, we,
We
no,
don't
the
have
counter quote, we, Steve and I met with Blue Water Power. Who may or may not be the right person to do the job, because they haven't done it much. If they've done it at all, they haven't done a lot of it. And so we've talked to them to get a price. They haven't come back to us with a price. I know Jay has some connections to different companies that he feels would be better suited to this work. We will get multiple quotes on this and, make sure we get the best value for the money. We're not married to using, I think they're doing it with Blue Water Powers because they're our partner stakeholder with them, and they usually do get good prices for us, but if they have no experience in doing work, then
So do we
So,
remove it from here for now and you can
And
talk about
use
it in the
them,
next.
yeah.
So remove it here and I guess, do we assume it falls into that 200 or?
It would absolutely have to, because you can't go in and assess your asset.
Yeah.
If it's not visible. So, yeah, I would think we have to take that line out right now.
But if we take it out right now, next year it won't be there. Then we're gonna.
We leave the line, but we just zero it.
Okay,
No, I don't think we should zero it. I think, because next year then we have to find 15,000 to go back in there, right? Was cautions us on zeroing something else gonna come back next year, right?
well,
So this $200,000, because it hasn't been quoted, like Jim said, it's kind of a number. pulled up. Basically, we know, once we know exactly how much we have, if you go to Badger, Benco, all these different companies, they're gonna give you, it's typically normally by foot or by meter, sorry, on the camera work and then the clean out stuff. So how would you put in $10,000 or $15,000? We can use that for clean up. This 200,000 could turn into 500,000. St. Clair Street, just the camera, the sewer main and the storm main, I believe was 50,000 before COVID. We've had it done twice. We did it in 2015 or 2016 for St. Clair Street. Then we had to do it again in 2019. I'm pretty sure $50,000. I might be wrong on that, just to do St. Clair Street. I think 200,000 might be low.
and I think that the idea is like, the number 200,000 suggested. It might be half that, it might be double that, we don't know, so you budget what you can budget. What you're comfortable spending on that project this year, you can put that into the asset management plan. And you say to Banco, we've got $130,000 to spend. Do as much as you can, like clean all the catch basins, whoever's gonna do it, clean all the catch basins. But then spend the rest of the money on this assessment work for the asset management.
So what I would like to do is leave 15,000 in this line item for the every other year, or half every year moving forward. And then the 200,000, we could just make 185. Because.
Or whatever you want. it to be.
Yeah, whatever we end up at,
Whatever you're
but that 15,000 will be spent as part of the Camry, because they're gonna be clean.
then we might as well just leave it as, just change that, law and condition assessments and catch space.
Well, when we get to it, because I have other ideas for it, but I'd be,
So take the 30,000 out now.
no. I think we should
Use
leave it at
one
50.
line.
Leave it at 50, no, we should leave that at 15. Because we're gonna continue to clean these until.
But you don't need that this year,
Yeah, but we're gonna use it as part of the big project.
right, which we feel is part of the 200,000.
So your concern, Greg, about taking things out of the budget, it's a little bit different. On the
It's
capital
different on
side.
capital than operating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I totally understand what you're saying.
I was
That's
thinking,
what I was gonna say next.
my head was in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
okay,
doesn't
like
matter.
capital,
Yeah.
change everything.
Yeah, okay, yeah, never mind, then, I'm sorry,
Take it out and it doesn't screw it up.
right.
If this is an ongoing expense, like a maintenance expense, would that not fall into the operating side?
There's a lot,
There's
when
a-
you look through our budgets, there's a lot of stuff in operating that should be capital, but and
Or
vice
hybrid.
versa.
Okay.
It's because we struggle with the operating tax rate to begin with.
Okay.
So we try to use, certain casino monies to help out this I mean, we're already struggling with that, 19%. If we keep putting all this stuff into operating, we're, we have to have 30%.
Right.
That's why we come.
Yeah, that'd be another % increase on it if we try to do.
No, I
this.
get, I just, it's
So-
the representative of the true operating cost,
Yeah.
right? And
I've asked the same question with the auditor approves this every year.
Yeah,
okay.
so-
But we've done this,
Because of our.
And not that you're not wrong.
Yes.
But it's just.
is it
we
just
try to put
certain
everything
things
operating,
that,
it should be there.
Yeah.
It'd be-
okay,
Okay, so
so
that's gone. and
take
we
the
removed that
30,000 out.
Down percent, traffic study, traffic study was grant approved, we're good, waterfront playground,
hold on,
yeah, sorry, Keith.
so take the 30,000 out.
Yep.
Leave the 50,000 in,
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's offset above. The waterfront playground equipment, that number will change.
went up.
it'll be on 60, right, at least.
So.
Now,
That for now.
I think Councillor Mondu, you sent an email to Jim about Sarnia's playground.
Yeah, Sarnia's got a new playground and there are multiple playgrounds. They're talking about $300,000. And it's a different company than what we've got. I think you should really explore this company because they've done work in Sarnia, London, Waterloo. So, yes.
Part of the additional costs that are required at our waterfront park that are built into that is because of our archaeological concerns. You can't dig and they can't anchor in the normal way that they can do in Sarnia, and that's where the additional costs are coming from. So,
But for a project of this magnitude, we need to bid it anyways. So I think we should, it's prudent to, talk to them, express our desires and see what they have to say.
Get a presentation from them.
I'm thinking this number could hopefully come down a little. Based on, we do have some hard costs on the land itself, but
So this isn't, this is a money going into a reserve,
yes.
so. I understand what you're saying. And we'll do that when the time comes. It really doesn't have a whole lot to do with budget today. I mean, I totally agree again with you, but.
Yeah.
Just.
We're just putting this into reserve and vote on how it gets allocated.
well, there's more work to be done.
Yeah.
This is if we find a supplier that can for half the money, then we can spend it that way.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely, I
Having a
think
simple.
And that's what's in the back of my head there.
Okay. The electronic sign. I have a note, I think we can, I don't think we need to defer that anymore, I think that was a. Can just remove that. The signs,
Hold on a
oh,
second.
sorry,
Electronic sign, again, we don't have anything in there, so you're just saying take that out.
yeah, and if it comes alive again, it'll be back. I think I don't think we need.
If it turns on.
Yeah, the signs,
So we gave him some. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you're at the signs. I'm wondering if we could see these staggered. Opposed to doing them all in 1 year, and then they would then be staggered when we have to do them in the future. Because I drove around and looked at all of them, not all of them are in position where they need to be repaired right now, and it would give him work over staggered time too, because I know it takes him a while. So I don't know what they are per sign, about 5-6 grand.
I think about 3,400. There was one that's.
For
way
what
more
we get.
expensive.
Then this is something we could just put in annually to have one sign fixed per year,
whatever.
for 5 years, yeah.
I was thinking something similar.
Why don't we reduce it to 5, if we wanted the Veterans Park one as well.
What was the one that you pre-approved?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's one that's already done.
He's for Christina.
He's working on another, he's working on the one. And then Veterans Park one needs.
So the one he's done, was
That
it paid
was
for
about
last, was it paid for
35
last year or this year?
One he just did a check for him, wasn't that about 3,500?
So that's part of this budget, right?
It's gonna be, yeah,
Okay,
part of that 20,000,
So the one that's already done and put up, did we pay for it last year?
no,
No.
this is
year?
the one that he just asked, that he
Okay.
was just working
He
on.
was here last.
So there's one already done and put up. He's been authorized to proceed with another one.
right.
And then I think that my opinion, Veterans Park needs to be done.
Yes.
I thought we
So-
only approved one to be done, did we not?
Well,
The first one we approved last year,
Oh, like a year ago.
it took so long, it got paid this year.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. It was done a
That was
long
the
time
bandwidth.
ago. It just didn't get put up.
It got knocked down a long time ago.
Yeah.
Didn't get done for a while.
Right.
And that was the one that was vandalized.
So that might have been paid for a couple of years ago. even.
No, it's,
I don't know about that.
no, it's the one that we pay for now.
Mm.
It took them forever. It took them 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
We had the ones for, the newly named parks. We had.
Mhm.
Yeah.
just Put them up last
Yeah.
year. We had them in our possession for a bit.
The one he just got.
But if we have them in our possession, chances are we paid for them.
Those are the
Doesn't-
park ones. Those are the park ones. They're different.
Yeah. we stayed through.
With him, we usually pay,
Yeah, pretty well up front.
um. We'll do. we'll
I
have
know
to
we've
do a bit of
done one.
research, find out.
Check, and I'm pretty sure it's about $3,500. Other than that, I don't know what
So
else
it
you
doesn't.
guys are.
So I propose we change it to 10,000. That will allow us to pay for the vandalized one being refurbished now in Veterans Park.
Lots 3,
So the Veterans Park was smaller.
Is it 3 and 5?
No, the big one was 3,500.
so there was 6. So there was 6, now you're saying 3.
So we're going from 20 to 10?
20 to 10, that's correct, yeah. Okay, all good on that then? Cement grinder is our.
Hold on,
Oh,
let
sorry.
me get this. Six includes Veteran Park. And then we wanted to go down to 10.
The concrete grinder, Steve presented to the committee and said it's, right now we hire a company, comes in with a cart or a tractor, they call it skid steer and machine and cuts them all. We go and get him when he's here in town, otherwise he's across the whole province. Steve was proposing that we buy this one. I watched the video on it the other night, and it's just a small grinder, 8-inch cutting path, I think he said. So the little lips, we would be able to do ourselves. This is to, you know, the sidewalks lift down them, and we smooth them out. If somebody pointed one out to us, it was just an inch or inch apart, public works staff could go out and grind it off and reduce liability and how we think we rely on it, is that correct?
Sure. The other thing we just found through some research is, there's a lot of, dust that get created by that. So what we would need a secondary, like an evacuation unit. So the other thing, so with that in mind, is we thought maybe we could try something like just renting. One, trying it, and then who's getting an idea of what we're up against.
I did see in the video, they talk about having a HEPA filter thing because of the silica that the cement releases and it's hazardous, so.
So at the committee last week, or the last meeting, he was backing off of just a little bit, changing the mind because of this extra worry about the dust.
Yeah.
What is required, and is that really the way we should go, rather than book the guy at the regular intervals? Because what we didn't do the last time was get him booked ahead of time, and then when they call, he was in Ottawa.
Okay.
Need to book him on a cycle.
Yeah, if we can get or when we get a hold of this guy, he does a fantastic, he's like. a
Yeah.
Phantom in the night.
He-
kind of
he's
thing.
doing,
He's
at
in
the
it.
waterfront too.
Yeah.
So I would propose, that we rent one this summer a couple times. See if we like it, do our analysis, but then remove the cost this year and defer it to next year, based on what you guys find out over the summer. Even if you rent 2 or 3 times, but
Yeah.
Are there other uses for this? Like curb cuts or anything like that? No, I'm just curious.
Yeah, they're very
You
special.
know, we could utilize it for different jobs.
I just didn't like the idea of wanting them to get into all that dust and what the impact is on employees.
Just so you're aware that our cement's dropping in front of the hall. And that's one of the things I want to see if we can do, because if we can taper our floor, then we don't have to replace all our front pad. Because our front pad is dropped probably 1.5 inches from the trucks going out.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we might be able to, if they do have that machine, we can do that, because that'll save us tremendous amount of money, because as as it drops every year, it's getting further down and the impact's getting worse, so.
I've seen, there is a company that does the injection below the cement to bring it back up.
Yeah, there is, I don't know if that would be good for that heavy truck.
That's what I read, yeah, whether it's more for just your sidewalk in the
Yeah,
backyard versus,
I also think that for which you're, the size of lip you would have there, I don't think the machine we're looking at buying would deal with that big of a lip. But this contractor would,
Okay,
that
yeah.
we bring in would be able to deal.
and he would do it, his cutting path is so much wider, would make it smoother. This would be a little 8-inch,
Yeah, okay.
you know what I mean? Like, so it wouldn't be, it's pretty, this guy's cutting it. Okay, so Tina, we're removing the 4835 and deferring it to next year. Excuse me. Oh, allergic to this backstop. So the McCray Park backstop. Can you just sort of stick in with that, Evan? Or?
Yeah,
baseball bat here?
Sorry, we lost your spot here.
Do you have anything on it, Mike, or?
just, I mean, it's a full replacement of everything that's there.
Yeah.
I think our plan too is if we get that modified properly, we're gonna do a little extra work on the diamond itself in preparation this spring. I know just from watching a little bit of the Sarnia Council meeting earlier in the week, they were talking about because they're losing diamonds, if we can have some our field's a little bit more playable for younger groups from Sarnia coming in and more available. And now that we have the online booking system there, it's could be beneficial to us.
So, okay, go ahead. Very good.
If we invest money and time into McCray parking, we'll utilize it more. Would we not look at actually putting a fee with it, like
That's why I had my hand up.
a rental fee?
Have reserve, have the revenues, if we're gonna do the work, then we're gonna have to
I
charge
know
for usage.
When I played two pitch, we play in Sarnia, we had to pay, but
Yeah.
we played in Point Edward, there was no charge. The diamonds in Sarnia, some of them are no better than McCray Park, so, but especially if we can, we spruce it up. Yeah, we spruce it up and it's a, you know, the focal point of the village too, everyone drives by there, if it looks pristine, then I think we should be able to charge a fee to use it.
We should have been, really, I think we should have been charging something already, but we've just been able to provide it for free, but they go and they line the diamonds, they do all that work. Now we're gonna put in fencing and, you know, spruce it up, so we will discuss it as a revenue idea.
So that can be discussed in the operating side.
It is, or we wrote it down as one of the discussion items.
So just to note with this, I think everybody saw the quote, but this will, make it safer because there's gonna be 8-foot fencing in front of the viewing area and where the players are with proper gates. I sent an email out to Jim, but the hear back is the tops of fences, we put that, like that big O on top. Do fence companies not make something that's like nicer or more designed for
We're gonna
that?
have an 8-foot one there. You would.
Yeah, you wouldn't need it up there, but that outfield area, like,
I
is the big O even necessary?
it's more to stop, when people would lean on it, right, you could catch, you know,
Oh,
skin on it,
yeah.
catch your clothing on it, tear it, but I mean, there could be other options out there as well.
I wonder if the fence companies sell like a U-shaped cover, I don't know, something that.
I've never seen anything different.
I know.
Grew up playing baseball all over the province and the Big O is the only thing I saw. And again, if I'm going after a ball and I'm leaping like the big league guys do, even if it's an 8-foot fence, no, it's a.
Yeah,
big
no, I know,
thing.
I'm just laughing.
And kids do it, right? Like I still would do it, pretend I'm robbing
Yeah.
a run, or even if it's on a fence on the side, like you need it for the safety.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking there's something more,
We can look into it.
yeah.
Yeah, something more steady, it's probably something more
Tina's
costly.
gonna talk about her ball playing years.
Yeah, mine is about to go.
Then leave that on.
Anyway, for the quote that you guys got, you got it before you guys were talking about advertising. So is this fencing adequate for advertising?
It would, there are places that hang signs on fencing. My thinking is you don't want to put signs on the fencing. We build a separate structure, like a couple of posts and attach the signs on those posts somehow.
Like when you go through the Tim Hortons drive.
Yeah, that's what we exactly talked about, it's
Yeah.
important.
I mean, not that you
Or
can't
car
hang
wash.
signs on the fence itself, but I kind of,
restricts.
my
viewing.
thinking
So
is,
it's just-
Yeah, I've seen, like, I know what you're talking about is if the outfield had a curved fence in it, and then that would be a, I've seen.
But just remember, I was on the meeting, you were saying like the new revenue
Yeah.
generating.
I brought up the home run fence at our committee to say that it would, a permanent snow fence, we don't have to, some will want to take it down every year and then give us advertising in the outfield, and if you're sitting at the red light at Front Street, it's a good place to put your sign up. That's why I don't mind that on the outside of the fencing along the third baseline and first baseline, but put it on the inside of your home run fence. And then it's visible because people aren't running into it out there as much. But it's revenue, absolutely, in a high traffic corner.
But the snow fence is the only way that last thing I know in spring
Yeah.
and winter here. Okay, so are we okay with this fence? And I think it also comes down, we removed the part of the backstop, so we're in
Yeah.
a safety situation with this because
We knew we had to do.
nothing's starting to fall. And is this a mat tax thing still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Condition assessments may be more, okay, this is the $200,000 we talked about. I personally have a suggestion. I'd like to propose we cut it to 100,000 and that staff be directed that if they need more money, the council move money out of reserves, emergency reserves covered. That's my suggestion. We have no idea where we're headed with this. We have no idea what it's gonna cost. We've heard it could be half, could be double, but I think. So we do need to commit money to it. I still know this budget can take 200,000. And that way we can get it started. They've got money to go. And then if they get into it and find out it's gonna be 180, they come back to us and we'll go find the money out of some reserve account. That's my recommendation.
I have no issue with that.
I don't think that.
This was as they said, this was a number they just picked out.
If I had to decide.
So we'll pick one too.
That's more favorable to us and our residents.
And you okay with that? What we go there, Tina?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Banners, summer and winter. Do we involve that at all or you?
Yep, so those are to replace the existing banners downtown on the light poles. I believe there's 14 light poles down there. And each one would get, it has the apparatus with 2 banners on each pole. So what we were looking at is to draw a little more, they're older and they're shredded and stuff. So new banners, some more eye-catching artwork, colorful stuff that would change with the seasons. I think right now, we're just planning this for 2 sets, like let's say a summer or winter set,
With some sailboats.
something along that line. Yeah,
Well, the design work's done.
Yeah. And
You
then
win the contest.
down the road, if we can, is maybe start putting in some specialized one like for Veterans Day. Or, you know,
Christmas.
yeah, more like that. So that's, we got a quote from Sure Signs, and they're on the ball with what we have.
No,
It'd be interesting to try and tie in with the service club, because I know I've driven through Brigden and at their Legion, they have specific local veterans.
Yeah.
And that would be interesting to tie that together if we could do something.
Yeah, if we actually get in that project too, or we even, there's talk about getting some community involvement with design and stuff, but if that could be a downhill project.
I know the Legion in Sarnia sold banners with veterans, local veterans on it.
Yeah.
And then families paid for them to be out there, so it's,
Yeah, they were up for one of the state.
yeah.
I just know the one in Brigden really stood out, as you drive through there and a lot of small.
And either on the boat or whatever.
No.
Yeah, young photo of a veteran.
Well, they do that. I did the army run in Ottawa and then the families can buy and hang individual ones for their families. And when you run the route, they recognize because the family can come out to put one up. Everyone's proud.
And then, so the only question I had was, the quote has 32 summer ones and 16 winter ones.
So what happens, in the summer, we put 2 up, and then the winter, we only put 1 per pole. And then, because then we do the lights on the other side.
Okay.
The winter one will go on the sidewalk and, fancy light.
Yeah,
poles
those,
on the other side.
yeah.
It's logic.
Okay, good. Yes, that makes sense.
And will these last like 5, 10?
Hopefully, yeah.
So then
absolutely.
if we started looking at this annually, could we get like every child matters for September? Could we put up a different, could we start looking?
Talk about it.
Doing what we gotta do with the
Yep.
agenda.
Okay.
So there, there may look
Remembrance
like
Day.
either a heavy vinyl or like a sail material also, and a lot of them. They're still intact, they do get rain damage, but they're starting to fade, so that's hopefully we can work out.
They're, how old are they now?
Yeah, they're,
I would say 5 to 7.
We haven't bought any for a while.
And the only thing to keep in mind with this is, I truly support the additional ones, but every time we change them, it's gonna be an early morning shift, right? And using the genie lift and that type of thing, but it's not, the cost is not prohibitive, because we're doing it in-house, but there would be additional work involved with it, so. Yeah, yeah. Those Michigan out for the day. Okay, so everyone's in favor of that? And should that be a math expense, or is it so small that it's not really worth doing that, or? It's just
Yeah.
comment?
It
Pretty
could have been,
minor.
but it, yeah,
We may have to revisit that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, we've taken.
So the food recycle, we've taken it out, but we can actually remove it. There's, like, we don't need to defer that one, Tina. And the Michigan St. Clair flasher as well, that can just be totally removed because crosswalk will never need to do that.
Pardon?
Michigan St. Clair flashing lights, we're gonna upgrade those to LED.
Oh, so that's,
Okay,
It's
that's
part of the
not,
St. Clair, like now.
yeah, no, so it's.
It's
captured in the other
it's in
project.
the
Yeah,
reconstruction.
that's it, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
I don't wanna sit here next year.
Yeah, no, that's, okay, I thought you meant erase it, thank you,
That's what I mean, erase it, yeah,
because it's captured elsewhere.
yes, yeah. And this flushing and vacuuming, sorry, is that,
That's the same as a condition assessment.
okay, yeah.
Take that right out on that line.
And do you want me to,
Road,
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to go to road reconstruction?
sure.
Okay. St. Clair Street.
So this project is, you know, I think we're quite aware of it. We've been working on it for a number of years. The current timeline for this, going to tender
Thanks, Mike.
early in May. Having tenders close in about approximately the 10th of June. Construction starting around the 25th of June and wrapping up by the 8th of September. That's, you know, I asked for a timeline, that's what they gave me. Every time I talk to them, I talk to them about getting a good price and being concerned with that. They tell me they're being contacted on a regular basis by people looking for work and feel that we will get a reasonable price on the project, so. I mean, I have concerns about it. I think everybody in this room that thinks about it has concerns about that, but that's what I'm being told. So,
I can make a comment on that. Sarnia had 9 tenders. But they just awarded. So there's companies out there looking for work.
one concern here that we need to consider a little bit is one of the grants, we're allowed to pool money for 3 or 5 years, whatever it is. That money has to be spent this year for that grant. So if we don't spend it on this project, I think we can probably reassign it to a different project, but we have to find what we'll assign it to. So there's that. You know, we want to make sure what we can do with that, that we don't end up having to send grant money back. The other one is the transit ICIP, Investment Canadian Infrastructure Program, transit grant, where we got money to put in the pathway along there, contribution towards it, and the path along Michigan and front. So that, when we applied for that grant 3 or 4 years ago, whatever it was, we anticipated doing the work this year. Actually completing the work by March 31st of this year. So actually doing the work last year, that didn't happen. I'm sure that it'll be just a matter of talking to them and extending that a couple of years. I don't think that grant would be in jeopardy, because when it was sent out, it was like a 10 or 12 year program. And you had to say, you know, this is your allotment of money, what year do you anticipate spending it on? So I don't think they'll have any concern at all with just postponing it by a year on that grant. I don't you know, I don't have confirmation of that, but I can't imagine it would be a problem.
So
So
that's
there's
the
just- there's a couple of
107,000,
great,
107,568.
Okay.
That grant. And the other grant you referred to, Jim, the OCIF. Is that the 305?
Yeah.
036? Okay,
But it's not, that's like that
That's-
305.
that's this year's portion of that.
It's like the proportion from 5 years ago that's
Okay.
not spent this year.
Okay,
And it's not that much money either. It's maybe a bit more than a third of that. I think that grant has grown quite a bit
okay.
over time. So if we don't go ahead with St. Clair, then we need to reallocate that money to a project.
And we also gotta start looking at the infrastructure now too, though. Sure, then that's kind of
The infrastructure amount.
like the loan.
Okay, yeah, I'm working on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's things, if we borrow money from Infrastructure Ontario, there's bylaws that have to be passed, and I'm working with the guy on it, I think the race.
So just on that, if this doesn't happen, we'll talk this up, talk to this at council regarding how we're gonna, use those funds. If this
Oh, yeah.
that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and what we would do, we would look at other capital projects, find one that fits in with the criteria for the grant, and then we've got a counselor committee with recommendation on which projects to apply that grant money.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
Mr. Chair. So I fully still support St. Clair Street and moving forward with it, gotta get her done. My concern is, and I share it with everybody, is this council spent quite a bit of money to MIG to get them to be ready for last year, to be tender ready. Would we be first in line with the best contractors, the best price, and get the project done before July? Because July and August are the busiest time for St. Clair Street, for the local businesses, just for everything. The thoughts of having St. Clair Street ripped up for months, July and August, is not gonna be pretty. When we could have been done in May and June, or April and May, which I think is a much better time for it. I guess we could defer it to fall, right? Do it September, October, if, with the vendor, but that's my only concern is who we're gonna get, who's already tied up their staff. And so that's my concern moving forward today with it versus going to tender January of next year. And then we get from the line, best contractors and everything
We changed the scope. No,
as part of that money we spent last year.
no,
So,
since,
so one thing, the money was not spent last
Oh,
year, it was budgeted, but the work, and we made it very clear on a number of occasions. With MIG that we wanted to be prepared to go to tender. Like in November, December.
yeah.
That's, they're told. So they were told to do work, it didn't get done for whatever reason, there's been some change over there, I don't know.
So we were never good for that one.
No, we budgeted the money we didn't spend, I mean, there was some money
Yeah,
spent,
yeah.
but not the full amount.
Okay,
that was budgeted.
Wasn't
So
for
that's like, they're doing that work that we had hoped they did last summer, they're doing that
that.
now.
Gotcha, okay.
I think the expansion in scope is. They weren't considering doing anything on the intersection of Michigan and St. Clair
Right.
or the Helena Louisa intersection. Those are the two pieces that are kind of.
Yeah.
Added in. To the scope.
they were over there recently surveying.
Yeah.
Yesterday, they were surveying at front and like.
So this, I mean. To me, I think you leave this one, we're not gonna be going forward without more consultation with council on this one for sure. But, I think we kind of leave it in there and moving forward in the process and see what it takes. And I-
At the same time, I'd like to bring light and get moving,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
we've been, well, maybe, either let's do it
Yeah.
and give word out that we're moving forward, or
The other point was about timeline, like we never, when they talked about going to tender in January or December or whatever. There was never a timeline assigned actually doing the work. Like you're,
Right.
this email I got a couple of weeks or so ago was the first time I ever heard. This is when we're gonna do the construction. Like there was never anything said to us that we're gonna do the work in May or April. That may be or may not be what we want.
But I think the only reason we're going to summer is because we haven't tendered it out yet.
Right.
Right?
I'm just saying, it may have ended up there anyway. Possibly, I don't know.
Asphalt plants don't open again some May.
Um,
So you can't do it early
they,
anyway.
they probably, that's weather dependent.
Is there an issue with us pushing to fall? Cause I agree, having that road closed in July and August for businesses, residents is not ideal.
People getting to the waterfront.
Yeah, like
We
it's
can-
our tourism in total, but is there a weather issue with doing it in September, October?
I think the only issue there is the pavement plants do close. So if we run into huge delay with the underground, the plants could close, you're not getting the pavement.
I wouldn't want to leave it too early. If it's construction, there's never a convenient time, like wherever you're going anywhere, and there's construction, it's always inconvenient. Luckily for us, we have other routes to the waterfront, to our parks. And I know I've asked a lot of questions about the construction. I know they're gonna do it in sections, so hopefully disruptions to the businesses on St. Clair Street may be a marginal amount of time. So I think.
I think we finish it.
No.
Then again, though,
Yeah,
true.
so I think the way they had said they're gonna lay it out is there will be access to St. Clair Street, like you're not gonna rip up the whole thing all at once. So I think access will be a minimal as possible for a construction project from what I've been told.
I just want to remind everybody, it's gonna be, the water mains are gonna be temporary above ground water mains. So if we plan for the fall and there was a delay for whatever reason, you're gonna have all kinds of added problems, cost, potentially water issues with above ground water mains. So you do have to consider a little bit of disruption,
Yeah,
may pay off.
short-term pain, long-term gain, yeah.
So. Where are we going after?
I'm gonna take,
5-minute break?
yeah.
Okay.
We get a busy morning. Call it fingering training. Not always the way.
Have I not know? I've go
And then you just do like, review of how to operate the pages, nothing, and then. So how you go by, the rescue was once by my. Training, air warning, no sign. And then, something, get somebody in Michigan and say, "Clear that."
Every now and again.
Very good.
Watch clock. You don't even realize that.
And somebody told me something, sorry, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, the last time I remember it was Michigan. No, I lived on St. Street.
Oh, the last time we did that road.
Yeah, I'm standing on the mound
so.
of my yard.
It's going by what the agenda says.
Okay. That your sexy person.
Mine's. Oh, sorry, mine's coming and going, voice wise.
I had that. Still,
Okay, we're back.
Okay, now that we're back, we'll go with fire and, Councillor Drury.
Mhm.
You wanna handle your committee, please?
I have to declare conflict. My son's a volunteer firefighter in the village. So I'm gonna step out.
We're at,
Yeah, you're just like conflict. You're recommended to be, you're
Okay.
so you're not listening.
I don't have to sit there. Okay,
We're good.
we're on fire. We're on the capital budget fire.
The engine replacement, obviously, everyone knows. So we've had one quote come in, 1.1 million.
Here we are.
Have another one coming in, probably another week and a half. I'm gonna say it could be close to 1 million also.
Okay.
Hose replacement,
So we're all good with the 100,000 going into the reserves?
Yes.
here's the hose replacement, just whatever hose we replace after it gets, tested annually. Well, this is where we'll see a lot of the stuff we normally be in operating, but this is what we put it. Protective equipment, that's just our, anything from gloves, boots, helmets, any gear the guys wear. Going below is bunker gear, that's our turnout gear.
And just to say, with bunker gear, you lose so many year
Yes.
to keep the cycle going. So
10
you're not
years,
replacing everything
yeah.
at once.
Then there,
Because I was over there, you have about 30 firefighters, right? So you do like 10 a year or
no,
not even?
2 to 3 max.
Okay.
We've been on a replacement now for the last 10 years, so we're able to keep up pretty good. Our office equipment, that's just the computer stuff that I wouldn't control there, like, say with it. And then there's the rest of this good stuff is all the problems with the roof of the fire hall in the library. One of our bigger problems that we have is the library, when they did the roof inspection, they said that all the ductwork and everything that's up there, there's 2 units. None of it's any good and it's all gonna have to be replaced. Abram has had the last 2 years and bumped our air conditioner. I've been trying to put a Band-Aid on it, it's leaking. I've been trying to hold it, and just pump it full of Freon and try to get another year out of it. But that could go on the bike tomorrow and it's done. So unfortunately, when you're doing the roof, there's the fire hall roof that is leaking. The library roof that is leaking. The plumbing and the drainage in the library is in bad shape. So it's starting to see its age.
So these aren't reserved, this is straight replacement costs.
This is what guys gonna be honest, yeah. And that's just one quote right now. They give us a ballpark, what they're looking at, charge us.
Any questions about these items?
And unfortunately, I've had our roof replaced now and the library roof replaced probably half a dozen times now. And we're listening to people tell us a story that they don't know where it's leaking, because it can be leaking over there, but it's dripping here. It finds its way, so.
You said it had to be repaired, not replaced, right?
Yeah, just repair.
I heard replaced.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
But we keep on trying to make it last longer.
Yeah.
And it's just, we're getting nickel and dime with that.
So this will be a full replacement of both library and fire
Yeah,
hall.
except for the addition at the back, that's all new.
Also replacement of the HVAC units.
Yes.
Just because it don't do one or the other, and as Doug said, there's been a lot of.
There's a lot of
Repairs on it.
there, cranes and.
But that's heating, cooling for both sides.
Yes, yes,
They should be more efficient, I assume, as well, probably.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of repair costs, so we'll get away from that.
I have one question here. I know there was some heating and cooling at the arena as well, and I don't know for sure if they can overlap, but if you could use the same company and get a bit of a reduced rate here, it'd be nice to see that.
It's possible, I mean, you can ask, right?
Yeah.
That's for sure. If we've already got one quote so far.
Okay.
And then just the replacement of the air packs, as you're all aware, that's coming up in the date for replacement. Again, we don't have any choice. Any bottles we change, just lose breath.
We've lost 4 now. We've had to retire 4 bottles.
They're done. So when those bottles are,
They're about $1,500 to replace each bottle.
check them all.
They're carbon fiber bottle. They only have a 15-year lifespan. Once they're 15 years old, doesn't matter if they're pristine or not. Transport Canada regulates that, so at 15 years, they're scrap. They
How are they
take,
disposed of?
we take the regulators off the top or the valves off the top. We retain those. And then the bottles get holes drilled in them. They're cut them in half. So our packs are on their last 4.5 to 5 years.
So this 50,000 will replace how many of those packs?
So the quote for our packs, because there's 16 packs, was. Sorry.
210?
210, yeah.
This is just going into reserve. is it not?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good, yeah.
And in 2 years, I don't know what that's gonna be, right? The way things are going on.
So I have a question. So the 4 you retired, will we replace them now or will we just wait and do them all at once?
Usually all at once, because it's too hard with air packs.
Yeah.
We would just get. We spending way too much and it wouldn't be efficient, so
Right.
I would say we just do the whole thing. That's what we did last time. We had to replace them all.
Then the fleet's all the same age. so
Yeah,
we don't have
yeah.
to worry about.
Normally, I agree with you, try to go so many,
Yeah.
too hard to maintain and
And
then want everything to be the same for every guy.
Yeah.
with this 50,000, what does that bring the reserves up to then?
50,000?
Some bring.
Oh, that's brand new. Oh, okay.
I've been talking about it for a few years, but
Okay.
now we're just gonna start setting.
I have a question for the chief here. I'm a little confused on this quote that we've got here. It's 738,000. We're talking 210. So on
Yeah, I
this,
think that's a misprint, yeah.
No, I think that there was different.
Options.
options.
Yeah.
okay, there's like those numbers, if that's where we're gonna end up here.
No, you,
I just-
More than
if you go to this board, you'll see somebody did your calculations by hand using.
Yeah, I saw that on the
Yeah, I
back.
saw that
of
on the back,
on the
yes.
of the paper.
Then I saw the 738, so I was a little confused.
Yeah,
as to-
what was misleading?
Yeah,
Well, the vendor had lumped everything into one quote. He
Yeah.
didn't break
Okay.
it out, so we broke it out into the number of packs, the number of initial bottles, the number of spare bottles.
So in 4 years, you'll be able to replace all your packs up to plan.
2 years.
2 years.
It's coming up, they're gonna be, they're coming up, the date's coming shortly.
So really 50,000.
That's not enough.
It's not a lot.
No.
Not
It's
what we
only a quarter of
expect.
what.
You're gonna be looking for 150 next year.
Yeah, what's our latest statement to get?
So we're on the last 4 years now. So we've got 4 years left on our bottles, and then for the majority of the bottles, like some are retired already. Yeah, I would say within the next 4 years, we're gonna have to replace them.
We should be all right then. Hopefully.
The problem with our packs is they're not supporting them with spare parts. So as packs start to fail, the vendor that we have, Scott, currently doesn't, whatever's left in the system for spare parts, that's all that's left. They're not manufacturing more. So if we have a high rate of failure and we can't replace those packs, then we're gonna have to look at replacing them sooner than that.
Familiar scenario that we went through with the radios. They wouldn't support the repairs on the radios and then buy a whole new.
Everything is just,
radios.
these things are just. They're terrible.
Just a question on that. Is there, I know Scott, is there any other manufacturer of packs? You know,
Yeah, so
like Scott was what we always used in industry as well, so.
Yeah, there's MSA and
Okay.
there's Dragger. There's a couple other
But once
vendors.
you get on board with them, you're with them. right?
No, it's
Is that,
originally, Tim, we followed the city,
yes,
because the city was originally a partner, everybody was Scott. But now the city has switched to MSA. So. St. Clair, it's all Scott. So we don't know which way, but we're gonna price it again, when it comes to that time, and there's a lot more to it, because. We want our neighboring department, we can work together and get need with each other. But when they changed,
Yes.
we're not gonna change it, you know, we're not gonna change at that time, because if we did, we would have saved a lot of money, because the amount of packs they bought. Same with Sinclair, but the timing wasn't there.
Yes, yes.
The timing was all good, if they would all just work together at
Yeah.
the same time, and did everything together, that'd be a huge savings. But obviously, they won't do it, so.
Okay, thank you.
And then certification, you're aware what certification is, so the new legislation and our firefighters have to have certification. So now, it's gonna be our first time we're gonna be spending some coin. We just signed up 6 guys for the pump course, there's a 40-hour course, they're gonna be paying to take the course.
Yeah.
So this is the beginning of one to start with. And many more to come.
So the idea is to stagger this, you have 6 guys and then another 6
And
guys.
then there's gonna be one on, could be one on technical rescue, there'll be one on auto education, and one, but it'll just keep on going.
Just chief, with this here, is there any grandfathering? Or is
We
this?
have, how many guys we do have certain amount that are grandfathered. But right now, we are relying on getting the students from the college that have the certification, is what I'm trying to get. And once they walk in, they have everything. We have 2 right now going to the certification, which we'll be paying for them to get it. But if anything, if I get people from the college, that'll be our best bang for a buck for the village.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments? Is that it for fire?
That's it for fire.
I think if we can, I think I just want to make a notation that hats off to the fire department because they did come in way under budget last year. And $45,000, which is appreciated, that we're able to run the department so efficiently and understand the challenges we're having. So that's.
We try, right? I mean, taxpayer, we want to do, so don't waste any money.
Okay. Yeah, it's noted. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You got nothing? You want to know?
Do we do police group?
Yeah, there's only one item
Is there? Okay.
on the police.
Well, we usually do all that with finance.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Environmental.
There you go.
Paul can come back. He's on the committee.
Doug, just let Paul know that he can come back, please.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. So it's going to-
Here's a slightly more comfortable one. There.
That copy picture was one of those. Oh, look, you want to.
Counselor Burgess.
Or on the view. Okay, first item is cleaning well reserve. Been deferred. Comments on that?
So basically, we cleaned the wet well at the pump station, the usual, and we did it. We decided that it would be a good idea, instead of having a larger expense coming into the budget, we do a $5,000 reserve over 3 years. We'd have on the 3rd year, we'd have the money to clean out $15,000 worth of debris. I believe we haven't put any of it since that started, so
Such the idea being,
we're basically coming up onto a 3 year where we should be doing a clean out. We had no money in reserves.
Maybe we have 5.
We're doing this 5.
We have 5.
Okay, so we have
first
1
year.
1 year in.
Alexandria 25.
So we're gonna be looking at doing it. If we skip a year, it's not gonna cause any issues. It's just gonna be a little bit more, every year there's more debris go in there, it costs more to get rid of it. You pay an hourly fee for the trucks. and then you pay for disposal, so the longer we wait, the more we have to dispose of. The cost is just gonna be that much higher. It's entirely up to council, if they wanna deviate from this again. It is a reserve amount, we are coming up to the year we should be looking at doing it, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we put 5 away last year, we got 5 this year, sorry, 2 years ago. So there's 5 there, add 5. Next year you back up 15, if you add another 5, you can do it next year. That's
Yeah, we
fine.
could, it hadn't been done for years.
So you, with 15,000 next year. you can
Basically what we do is if we have $15,000, that's all the contract. They keep track of their hourly
do that.
billings and the disposal.
Okay.
When they hit that $15,000 number.
Yeah.
If you don't get it cleaned all out. Then we
Yeah.
remove it.
Okay.
So the CAO noted that we've been very generous with our cuts so far, so I think we have. So
Mhm.
should we, just change it to 10 and get it done? Rather than like drag it out another year? You say we haven't done it in a long time.
We haven't done it for, this would be 3 years, so it should be 4 years is what we've done. And that's when we did it that 4 years back, and then as if we do the 5,000 a year, every third year, we can just get it.
Well, we
cleaned out.
skipped a year because COVID skips two, so I'm saying change it from 5 to 10. Let's get it done now.
Is there an urgency for it? Like, is this something we should be?
It's just it's an annual thing to make sure that, the more debris that we suck up in the pump, the more your pumps are getting more quicker. Again, it's something we could be
Long-term
doing.
maintenance.
This is preventative maintenance is what we're doing. But again, that's up to council, if they want to put the extra money in.
Does anybody support that? Bumping it up? I'm good with that.
Jim did rough math here and said we're
We're pretty close. Pardon?
We've gained 150 in the revenues and we've got about approximately 150 in cuts.
So it's 300,000.
Or a little bit more maybe.
Yeah, Jim's got 100.
You
But-
probably do, I'm just
Might be
guessing
different.
until I get the other.
I'm just saying,
Let's keep that as a lot.
okay.
Leave it at 5 then. Did you want to make a comment?
I was just, I'm a little torn because I'm all about preventive maintenance and that, because this can cost us down the road. But, if the consensus is 5, that's fine with me. If we gotta continue putting some money in.
I personally would rather leave this at 5.
And you do it the following year.
Well, the station upgrades, which we were supposed to be putting, I think we put $100,000 away. And then we didn't do the 75 last year. This station, there's electrical issues. We have one of the diesel pumps right now, it's in here, it's got issues. So as we go down, we can talk about it, so I think we might be better off if we put that money at the bigger problems, to be honest.
Okay, well, let's work our way down. We'll leave that at 5 then.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next item is
Right.
catch basin and sinkhole annual.
Okay, so this is just, we've got the $35,000. It used to be kind of divided up between public works and environmental. And then instead of the two departments trying to juggle back and forth, we moved it all over in my department. And this covers basically if we get a complaint where sinkhole, you get a hole next to it, if it's leaking the pavement, we repair those. If we've had a sewer or a lateral line rot out and the road collapses, we fix that with this. So that is something that's just ongoing. Every year we're gonna have sinkhole. We already have a list of catch basins that have to be repaired in the spring. It's not something that I would recommend lowering in any way. We've been able to try to keep it in that range, so. It's one of those things.
Easy to spend.
It's easy to spend. If we have a big sinkhole tomorrow, depending on the severity of it, it could take pretty much all that money in one shot. But it's been a reasonable number over the last few years, so I think it's gonna be the same. And hopefully we don't have any major issues.
Any comments?
I agree, it's security.
Okay. Station upgrade reserve.
Yeah, this is, so basically we looked at this. I believe it was in 2017 or 2018, I got a quote to do an upgrade. Diesel engines that run the two pumps are from the sixties. We've had issues with them in the past. Parts are getting really hard to find for these. So we looked at doing an upgrade, converting over to electric with a standby generator. That came in at almost $900,000 back in 2018. Again, there's no revenue coming to this department for this. So that's what we said, we need to do some stuff. Like I said, we have electrical deficiency in the building. The diesel are old. We have one that's got issues right now. We need to start deciding how we're gonna fix this pump station. I've had Pat and Cummins. I've asked them multiple times to give us a quote. They haven't given us a quote. Wajax, which is Harper Diesel, so Detroit Diesel, they came down. We have intercooled systems right now for cooling, so they don't have a tier 3, which is an emissions certified option for this to replace it. So I had them go back to their engineers to see if we could put in like a RAD type system. They're working on it now. So we actually have a hard time. I think we're gonna have a hard time finding emissions compliant diesels to do what our 1960s are. Unfortunately, that's government regulation, and we have to meet these. There's at least a 3-tier emission. Everybody's telling me that they don't have the product to do it. So we may have to look at doing the electric route and doing it, but we have to down the road. So that's why I asked pre-COVID to up the $50,000 reserve to 75, and then we haven't done it during COVID. So I think we really need to start putting that in there. Because there is some major expenses coming down the road.
And comments on that.
Is that question? So the diesel, is that diesel pumps or backup pumps? Or
Yes, so there's one smaller electric pump.
that runs normally, right? That
It
doesn't work?
runs normally if we have a storm with power outage,
Mhm.
there's no generator there, so that pump doesn't work anymore.
Right.
It's done and it works off the 2 diesels.
So this upgrade would remove those diesel motors?
If we went to the new electric upgrade, yes, we take the diesels out. The pumps are configured, so you basically just take diesel off and set electric motors on top,
Okay,
and then it would run.
and then you put a generator like Michigan Ave.
Yeah, it's a big generator. It'll require a really large
Bigger
generator.
than Michigan Ave's.
Oh, yeah, it's bigger than the main plants. It's a large generator. That's a big.
So what's the
generator.
best way to go with this huge generator or putting in the diesel engine?
I personally would like to see the go to electric with the natural gas power generators.
They're cleaner anyways, right?
It's cleaner. You always have, when you are running, as long as the hydro's on, you can run all 3 pumps.
Okay, yep.
So
So
you always have.
are you saying they're gonna outlaw the diesel?
They're not outlawing it.
Okay.
The problem is the suppliers don't make a unit to fit in to replace the ones we have. Right now, Wajax, which is Harper Diesel, they don't have a tier 3 emissions engine large enough to replace that one.
And then if you have a full project quote,
I had one done back in,
that's the
believe it's-
900,000.
it was almost $900,000.
So we're putting in 75, how we,
I think we have
We have 175 now.
so,
plus.
but you need 900, you think, or
Well, that was in 2018.
so it's a million and a half now?
It's been
A little more good news.
And this is part of the, we've discussed in many of the meetings and I'm trying to come up with a revenue plan. Again, we have a pump station that have 0 revenue. It's all expenses. A lot of municipalities are looking at, bringing in a revenue stream,
Or like the stormwater,
some kind of a
Charge.
fee to cover some of the costs.
I guess if we put ads on the side of the road, That's-
It will be a cheaper route if we can replace the diesels. Problem is, like I got the big three, so Cat Cummins and Detroit. If I hadn't been able to get an actual option to meet the emissions road. So. I'm still working with them on that, and again, if they'll even allow us to put in the ductwork, it would be, we'd lose a lot of space in the building. Because we got to build in big ductwork in order to get the ventilation to come in, take the heat out. The ideal way to go is the electric, unfortunately, it's.
Cause if you're all electric, you have redundancy too, right? Like,
You would have redundancy in, you'd have a new backup generator on site.
so my initial notes here say 50K, but when you're saying you need over 1 million. Moving 20 years. If you do 50K a year. Right?
And then it would be 2 million,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like,
and it won't last.
yeah,
No.
Just a question, this is critical infrastructure, is it not?
Yeah,
This means flooding?
Yeah, right now, if we were to lose. If we had a big storm or tornado or something came in, we lost the electric. Right now, we can run both diesels. As you can see in the other, there's some expenses if we don't go ahead with those larger expenses to fix the one. We could end up with flooding of the roads, et cetera. We need 2 pumps to run and we pump it out to the harbor. So if they were to fail, you would be looking at potential road flooding and then where we go from there in the, people's basements and et cetera.
We do get some revenue from the Blue Water Bridge from the station, right? 18%.
Well, we get 18% of our expenses. So yes, we would get 18% of whatever we spend, right? But we don't get, I guess if we look at it as revenue, but.
Well, it's a supplement.
They pay for a portion of it because they put a
Right.
significant amount of.
I just want to make that point that
So, yeah, we do get 18% back from the federal bridge.
So the revenue would be something we'd have to investigate at the next water budget if we wanted to try to do that.
Well, no, it's not part of the water budget. It's part of
As
the
with budget.
Okay.
It could be part of the water budget.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how it fit in because
I think you if we would have been storm water charges.
that's what I was saying, if we were trying to create revenue off of it.
Then you put
But
water.
it isn't now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like it's right
Yeah,
here.
but I mean, the billing of stormwater charges. Wouldn't it?
Technically, it should stay with.
Oh, okay.
What are
Well, unless
Could be part, it could be added to taxes as a tax.
I didn't want those lines on the tax bill.
Yeah. Good, I have a follow-up question. Who's chairing this? Hey, Paul, may I? So I see you have $43,000 in repairs to diesel. And yet we're talking about replacing those. Should we not be putting that 43,000 with the 75,000 and move this project along faster?
Well, this is the catch. So right now, we have diesel number 2. It has overheating issues. So as soon as it runs for a couple minutes, it starts leaking water. And it's overpressuring, so we've had it tested. We know there's a pressure issue, so it's either a head gasket or a cracked cylinder head. The companies, just to come and to tear it apart to do the inspection, there'll be a $13,000 expense, which I don't have money in a budget to even cover that. Takes minutes. If it's a cracked head, so we'll spend, we'll spend $13,000 to find out what the problem is, for sure. And then if we need to replace a cylinder head, it's another $15,000 just for the part. So we would have
We can do both sides at the same time.
if both sides were cracked, it would be $30,000 in parts. And we don't know that until we actually tear it down. Thing is, you tear it down, and you put all this investment into it. Like you can't tear it apart and say, oh, it's a cracked head and then put it back together.
Right.
So,
And there's no sense doing one side and not the other, is there?
well, yeah, if one side's good, you wouldn't do the other side. And you,
I'm just saying, but you're saying the diesel are end.
they're at end of life,
But
they're,
so there's no value, you're saying there's no value in putting that $45,000 into the electric project to get it there faster.
I would rather not see the money spent on fixing them.
Yep.
But at the same time, we don't have $1 million to do the upgrade. Gotcha. So if council or somehow we can find out, hey, we can actually get this $1 million to do this upgrade and go electric within the next year or two, that's one thing.
You'd be okay with that.
But if we say we're gonna take that money and put it in the reserve and not fix the diesel, that's got an issue. And we're told that the other one has the same problem happen. Now we have a major potential flooding.
Are they the same age?
Exact same, they're put in the same day.
Okay,
Again,
Gotta ask.
they're from the sixties.
so am I.
Does that mean these new electric ones will last that long too? Like, what's their lifespan? No,
Probably like bridges.
The electric, well, one is electric motors, so you're putting electric motors on.
Yeah.
Electric motors, they're a lot easier to pull them apart, they can rewind them, they can do just bearings. The generator. You're gonna get a 20-30 year life out of a big generator.
And reduce
and
costs, don't
potential
load
longer.
diesel in it or like that, right?
But it'll still be diesel,
The generator,
Natural gas.
unless you go full natural gas, or you might do what they might wanna put, depending on, because it's all gonna come down to cost, they might recommend doing like a biofuel, so it'll be diesel with natural gas. It's an option,
because it's so big.
yeah, it's a large generator, and I know when, it was Paul. I've talked to a few electricians since in the last year, trying to get some ideas here. We've looked at, we might be able to go a little bit smaller on the generator and do, with, PLCs to actually do step starts and soft starts and drop out. There are some options, but again, it's all gonna have to be engineered and designed, to do that. When they did the quote, it was just a big enough diesel generator, or not, sorry, natural gas generator to power it all. So there's different options to look at, but again, that would come when they actually start designing.
Sorry, I just want to throw something in here. We're in the middle of doing a study to find out about our capacity. How would you be able to go smaller on a pumping station when we're potentially adding a development on two?
So we're not going smaller on the actual pumping capacity.
Okay.
We go smaller on the diesel
Okay,
or the generator, could be gas. I keep saying, we go smaller on the generator, and it would have to be controlled by staggered starts. So, you would have to control how pumps start and stop and
I just
ramp
have
up and ramp down.
back of my mind is about the need for,
The actual capacity of the station can't change.
yeah, okay.
And then with those developments, there's, I've already talked to a couple of the engineers that I'm working on. We're actually looking at trying to get them to either have a separate system instead of coming back into kind of inland,
Okay.
coming back out.
Okay,
I think they're looking more at possible storm retention style
okay.
and then pumping it out to the.
So-
Yeah, and they will look at that when they do the study, but.
I'm okay with 75 on that.
I just got another question on this. Does this change with these possible developments, change the urgency to move this forward sooner? Because we're probably talking a couple of years before at least one of them gets, to a point where it's ground ready or whatever.
It's hard to speak to that because we don't really know what the developments are going to be.
Okay.
Like, I know they were hoping that the one developer was hoping they could just let everything drain right to the river, which is not gonna happen. The MOE and Barbicane, et cetera, is not gonna allow that to happen. So there is gonna have to be stormwater management in those developments, but again, they can do that storm retention ponds and then slowly pump it out. They may want to pump it or bring it to us, like to the pump station. But they haven't given us any indication of what they want to do. Other than they just wanted to let it run.
And do we charge a fee for a new development to look into the stormwater system? Do other municipalities do that?
Yeah.
So if you're building a 200 home subdivision, the municipality could charge you to connect into the stormwater.
Yeah, there's all kinds of, you look at development fees, you look at, they can just have them say, you want to build this development, you need to pay to put the infrastructure in the ground, right?
Which includes the upgrading of our baby station.
But that's all stuff that would be, negotiated.
Because
So we'll deal with that number.
we spent $75,000 discussing this, I think.
Okay, and we're gonna pass by the concrete pads.
Yeah.
Okay, for this year. And then diesel, 2 repairs. Labor and inspection, 13,000.
So that's the, again, to get contractors in the contracts. on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is parts.
That would just be if we get the inspection done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it could, it's $15,000 to $30,000.
And everybody's aware what these things do, right? You mentioned it briefly about mitigating flooding and sewer backups and things like that. It's very important to structure. Alexander Storm Station. Wells,
Cleaning wells, this is right back to the
sort of
first
the same thing we
conversation.
talked about, right?
It was just a reserve.
Okay.
So we would have the money in the third year.
We're good on that? Okay, and then pipe repair, replacement reserve, 25,000.
So right now, the discharge pipe in the station. The pipe sits in concrete saddles and it's actually rotting up the concrete saddles. So there's small leaks right now. They're not substantial, but they are starting to leak. We are going to have to save up to do either a major repair or replacement on them. So my plan is to, again, start a reserve, so we can get some money put aside. And over the next few years, then
This was the reserve.
this is what they're doing, the reserve, yeah.
So we're looking at 6 years out to compare, we're going to stay that long.
It's, right now, it's hard that you can't actually see the leaks. All you can see, like, where the pipe sits in the saddle, back in 2015, they sprayed a coating on, because there was some pinhole in the pipe. And they covered them with a hard coating. But now it's where the cement, the coating and the steel fit, it's coming out at that joint. So up inside that saddle is obviously the pipes rotted, they cover it, it's getting on those joints. The only way we'd have to shut down the whole system and drain everything, pull it apart, get somebody in there. Inspect it. The last time we did it, with the water level being higher, we couldn't stop the flow. We spent weeks trying to get the flow down, so it's something that we're going to have to fix eventually. Can I tell you it's gonna be 3 years or 5 years or 10 years? No. We know we have a leak. If it doesn't get much worse, we can keep going. If it finally, let's go, we're gonna have, the only good thing with it is it does, it leaks right back into the well. We're gonna be pumping the same water all day.
Okay.
I know it's the first year of the reserve, but would you take 20?
Yeah, it's whatever council feels comfortable.
Any comments on 20?
As long as we start one.
That's what I mean, it's just, so there,
I just don't know if 5 makes difference in the grand scheme of things
well,
versus,
it adds up.
yeah.
So that pipe repair replacement, you're saying?
In 6 years already, more than, now we just take it, if we do 20, we just take it to almost 8 years.
And we can reduce that with a revenue stream.
The sign, they can advertise the sign on them.
Which I think we need to look at.
And that will come up on the other side.
That'll be next year's water, or on the revenue.
Okay, so, okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then the last one was the dormer repairs.
Yes, in the pump station, if you drive by, there's dormers up in the top of the building.
Yeah.
They're hatches, they're built hatches, so if we have to remove a pump, you come with the crane and they lift them off. Oops, sorry. There's windows in them. They're leaking water when it rains. A lot of them.
Do you solve it out, don't you?
What's that? Well, the problem is it's all coming down on your electric motors and your pumps.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to do a fancy repair, our plan was to spray foam and seal up. Post cell foam, we're just gonna seal everything off. If we have to remove a pump down the road, then we'll have to go up, cut out the hatch and deal with the vent. This is basically the cheapest and quickest next, I did get a quote that came in at, almost half of the original. So we could probably take a couple $1,000s out of there to be safe, but I wouldn't want to go too much because once they get in and they could turn even more.
Take it down to 5
Yeah, I think we should be able to do,
or 55.
I would say 5 should be good. We got a quote just below that, and then we get, the tax on it, so I think we can manage.
Any other comments? 5's good. Okay, we'll take that down to 5.
Well, I have a question on the, what did we, the line item ahead of it, was it 20 or 25?
20.
20?
That's right, sure, if there was consensus.
Yeah,
I just wanted to, because there was, we never really finalized that one, I didn't think, okay, that's fine.
The last item is transfer capital to water.
It's already done.
That was approved.
That was during the water budget.
Yeah.
But my question is, how do we get that to, go away? Is there a way to,
Freeze water rates,
like,
sell more water, like that's,
yes, yeah. So we're, so just so I said, we're keeping water rates down by taking money out of this to do that, so it's,
absolutely.
So,
So that 250, that was part of the transfer at the end of the year from the excess casino
right.
in 2022, and now we're just bringing, gonna take it out to 2023.
That means now we can't use that casino money for other stuff, right?
Correct.
So,
Yeah, it's, remember we talked earlier about we wanted casino and MAP money to go towards capital and stuff like that. Now we're just subsidizing the water rates.
Mhm.
Yes, the casino.
So at this point, before we do the last section, you're now at a surplus $19,031. We still have place to do in the municipal office section.
So if you want, if I may suggest we do the police, it's just like
it's one item.
replacement.
Yeah.
Radar speed detector, speed monitoring device.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that. The only- so this is one quote that the mayor received from a company, right? So you're gonna figure out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it was a ballpark.
Because I've seen others when I was in ambulance, like $2,500.
This guy, I got it in.
Yeah, so if in fact you find it, let's spend the full amount on 2 or 3.
Yeah, if we can get a couple. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got Emma coming up, we'll see the vendors, depending on when you wanna buy it.
Yes, I think by next week.
I just have a question with this. Is this one of the ones that shows the actual speed,
Yes,
the speed sign?
and it moves around.
And it-
depending
Like,
when
it's portable, similar to
Yeah.
City's got a bunch of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the wall.
Yeah.
it's portable.
And it's,
No,
So we have the one on the trailer,
we don't
that will
know.
show the speed, the recording device doesn't work anymore. And then we have the speed spy that you mount on a pole, it doesn't show the speed, that recording device doesn't work anymore either, so that unit is useless.
Okay.
Yes.
and then the trailer takes up space on the road, but it mounts on a sign, and it's solar, right? The
Yep,
new one?
solar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, the trailer will still serve a purpose if you want to tell people how fast they're going.
Right.
Yeah.
It will still do that, or at least it would last summer.
Right, it just won't record.
It won't record, and the other device is scrapped.
So you could use a trailer on one street and then still have the sign for another street, so you could have two going at once instead of just one. I think I got a second. Anyway. There are other companies, I think somebody else was done.
Yes.
Maybe we see what the city of Siren is using too. They bought a ton of them.
And you have some, their own lead.
What was the bridge? I know they have a couple on the
Yeah.
downside of the bridge that work pretty well.
I'm going to Good Roads and Good Roads.
So they should have something in there.
Yeah, that's April 17th. So it's not that far away. Which town?
Okay, now we'll go to municipal office. Ready for that?
Okay. So the first one is licensing and website maintenance and that type of thing. And just the input fees.
First 6 items, Jim, are pretty well all under the same account. number.
The one that's in here, there's a couple of new things in here, so. Item number 3, the absolute data and service security, that for laptop computers, we're getting into laptop computers a lot more, and they're more. They can go, they're portable, and they can be stolen, and that kind of thing. This is to put security on the actual laptop, and it's stolen, they can be completely disabled by.
They can be wiped
by-
remotely.
Yeah.
How many laptops do we have now?
I think it's like 12, 14.
Is that 8,000 per year for 5 years?
No, that is a 5-year program. Cost for the 5 years. It's
Okay.
8,000.
Every 5 years, we'll have to pay the $8,000 again.
And I would guess that next 5 years will be more, but yes,
But then next year, something else might come up, that's.
Yeah.
that's not
Because we-
your conversation.
right now, we don't have this at all. This is a brand new.
Brand new
First,
expense.
yeah, it is, yeah. And then the next one, the 8615, that's a renewal. So. In the past, we've done 3 or 4 year renewals. The renewal has to be done in February, so I renewed this year for 1 year, and we're just gonna put that in our regular. Budget, but it's quite a bit cheaper to do it for 3 or 4 years, so putting in this year's budget. We won't pay it until about the end of December, but, and that'll give us for the next 4 years and that's, it's security, I don't even know which security it is, but that's something we've had for quite some time. And then, yeah, as Tina said, like, just the IT needs we have, the financial software support.
Jim, if we can go back to the second item. Sure. The public Wi-Fi server. Is that for, like, as it says, public Wi-Fi, is that for, like, the waterfront park
Waterfront Park and Arena.
in the arenas? That's on that same system.
Which one is the one we have now?
It's just getting old and it's,
That's not old, is that?
That's only,
well, it's about 5 or 6 years old, but anyway, before, like, it's pre-COVID.
yeah,
And so it's just,
okay, I'm just curious.
Does it have to be done this year?
Nope.
Then. Why don't we just postpone it?
Yeah.
I see.
Break that one down. What
Like, are they having issues with not being able to connect to Wi-Fi or slow down?
I don't think so. I think it's just one of those regular maintenance things that our IT guys are recommending, like,
We could defer it.
Yeah. I support
I
that.
think if we did it,
I do know, because it's all, a lot of that stuff for the park is off the sewage treatment plant. And they just put up some new stuff in the last little while. Like they moved the location of where the antennas were and they put new ones up. So,
Like you still did, whoever.
That was their project.
yeah, the public, yeah.
but that's not, that's not the server.
Right.
Like, the server is in the building.
But is the Blue Water regional sent the servers a problem, or is this just a recommended?
No, this is, he's still.
If I think, I'm okay to defer because and if we lose that public Wi-Fi, well, it's not.
I'm not concerned about that.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm concerned because the arena's on it.
Well, yeah,
If you
that's,
could figure out a thing.
that's my concern, but I didn't realize that. But as far as like if someone can log on under the bridge.
Yeah.
But the arenas, help me here, the arena antennas that FEMA use. They're on
They're on our,
the village's hardwired network, so this is just for
the
people
arena.
in there
That's the
watching
other one.
YouTube.
Yeah,
So we'll
okay.
still be able to do the FEMA
yeah,
game.
okay.
Yeah,
Like
the
that,
public
I
one's
think.
timing out.
Yeah.
On,
All right.
But I would imagine if the whole system crashed. You might need a month, you know, like. You know, I don't think it'd be a catastrophic.
You'd figure it out and figure out what you need to do.
Which one is that? That's the,
That's
11
number 2.
okay,
11,000.
good.
Move it.
So I defer
You
it.
want it deferred, just
Yeah.
that leaves the idea there.
Well, I'm saying remove the cost.
Yes.
Yes.
PSAB audit requirements, that's again, just. It has to be done every year. Asset management, this is. data collection, maybe paying someone to come in and do data collection and data entry. You know, if we were gathering all that information through condition assessments, so we're gonna have somebody inputting information. We might be able to use some of this money to, you know, to supplement the work we do in the assessment too. You know, maybe we can do. We would see how much time we need to input the data that's collected with 100 and whatever was approved, 150, whatever it was. Get that data entry put in, then we might go use another 10,000 or more condition assessment. So, but it would be to supplement our asset data.
And anything to do like the year end and stuff,
Pardon me.
the year end and
Yeah.
deletions and additions and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna see if they can do, because I know how to do it.
This is an external company.
Not necessarily.
We still have a contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a contractor that's doing the work.
So they, like, there's
Is it
supporting
citywide?
us citywide, we're still working with citywide.
Oh, okay.
So, and there may be additional charges from them that may come out of this as well. So it's, we're working with a bit of a loan here. It's money that we feel we need to keep our assets.
So we have a timeline we have to follow.
Yeah. And I don't know, I mean, there was a very lengthy report that I sent, it's like a 25-page report, there's a lot of stuff in there. The basic summary of that report is we're in pretty good condition. We are about a year and a half ahead of schedule. But these OCIF grants, they're gonna start getting awarded based on the accuracy of information in your asset management plan. Our asset management plan is very much based on assumptions and not actual empirical data. And so the more accurate and up-to-date information you put in the plan, the theory behind it is the more you get that in your plan, the better chance you have of getting the grants. So it's, you know, Imran's pretty up to speed on this asset management stuff, and I sat in on a phone call with citywide as well, and they did say we're a year and a half, 2 years ahead of where we need to be, but there's still a lot of work to do.
Okay.
So,
When I met contractor, we had someone that was,
oh, yeah, no, that person not with us.
okay, we had a person that was doing some inputting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's-
She's not-
It's the MSN estimates. Yeah, okay. Appreciation night, we've increased that from 10 to 15. And that's based just on two things, based on anticipated rise in food costs. And the desire that was expressed to me by 2 or 3 members of council to kind of go back to the old invite list. That, you know, we had very valid reasons at the time we did it to reduce the list. But what it indicated to me is we would like to go back to the old invite list. But not make it, like, keep it kind of at the core level it was last year. But with the expanded numbers.
If we approve this, should we be reaching out to some of those people we excluded and just apologize or just say that, like, the police officers, I understand, were really hurt by being excluded, just, and even talk to Chris Avery and just say, hey, listen, we did what we did, and we're fixing it for the future.
I mean,
I not like an outright apology.
Yeah,
Just
I
explain to them
feel-
what we did.
We were in a crunch, as lots of people were financially. I mean, I don't feel like I have to feel,
yeah, and sorry for.
sorry.
I don't even think, I think it was more about when we were making the plans, we were at a certain place with regard to a pandemic. And typically that time of year is when it started ramping up again. So we were being cautious about numbers too.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt. To me, I think it would seem a little bit.
I'm not saying apology, just
Yeah.
communication to say that
Yeah,
last year we had to make some tough decisions.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be moving forward in a more, with with our appreciation night in the more traditional way
Yeah.
that we
Yeah,
have in the past, right?
Certainly couldn't hurt.
Or you can wait till the invite time. And make that message. We weren't able to do, which would be, I don't know, October or something.
Yeah.
We're moving back to it.
Yeah, we're coming back to our original.
But my thoughts are, everybody knows everybody was under a crunch. So, like, the world was upside down for a while there, so, you know, people had to make, or councils had to make decisions based on what they knew at that time, that, yes, we excluded people and everything else, but it's impacted everybody, so. No, I don't. I support moving forward in the proposal that we've got here.
And then the calendar is, I think the same number as last year, I believe,
Up 1,000,
1,000.
but last year's.
And yeah, last year's was very tight, so it's back up now.
I mean,
Um, I support the calendar. I think it's great, but I also think that there are enough people that, probably would prefer a digital calendar. Maybe they don't keep a calendar at their house. Wonder if there's like an option to do half the printed, like, do we find that we're using as many printed ones as we have been in the past?
Yes, for the most part, yes.
Okay.
Like, we printed a few less this
Mhm.
last year, she did reduce the numbers. But yeah, I would say they're still quite popular. As far as a digital version, we're the website development program. There's a couple, like I've dealt with like 4 different companies on the website. I think 2 of them have a thing where you can enter this stuff in on a community calendar, and then you can program it, send an email out to our constant contact
Mhm.
at the same time. So we're trying to work in the kind of a digital calendar.
I also think
as well.
if I may, you can, in the website design, we can have a calendar that you can subscribe to. And if like FEMA's calendar automatically populates my phone when the game is scheduled. So anything we add to our website, if somebody subscribes to it, would be added right to their phone. So it would complement the calendar.
Because you already have to create the digital content for the calendar. So to upload it to your website and have like one of those flip books is pretty easy to do. And then maybe go along the like environmentally friendly route and have people like ask for the calendars, opposed to just delivering them to every single resident, might save us.
Yeah. That's,
Like everything's on my phone. I have a calendar at my house, but we don't put it up because everything I do is in my phone. So, and I know there's residents that still really like the calendar, so I'm not suggesting at all that we get rid of it. I'm just saying, I wonder if we can reduce the amount that we have to print. Maybe that's sort of a future.
a comment on that. Sometimes you reduce the number, you pay more.
Yeah.
And
The more
that,
you print, the less you pay.
we've already
It's-
asked Shelley to look at the number.
Yeah.
She can't reduce the number without impacting the cost.
Yeah, exactly.
She's at the minimum.
Yeah, it's,
yeah,
it's a funny setup. The more you
Yeah.
print, the less you pay.
Mhm.
It's like it's,
And
yeah.
then
'cause
we have, you would not believe how many calls
The print.
start from November to this office. When are the calendars coming out?
Mm.
All, and then December, Jan. How many calls in December? When is the calendar coming out?
Mhm.
It's like the biggest thing of the year is what day are the calendars coming out?
bigger than Christmas.
And it
Yeah.
starts in November.
It starts in November. It's very, and
And I think it'd be hard to manage opt-in. If someone wanted to opt out of having one, but then we have to keep a list and we don't deliver to their door. I can't.
we do have a lot of seniors. And they like them.
I just has one question, is 6,000 and not, because I was thinking the other way. I know I did ask about it, it was one of those things we cut back, and I know Shelley said what we had last year barely covered the printing costs.
right.
And it is like Christmas, I know all the people I know look forward to it, ask for extra copies and mail those to people who used to live here, because they like the photos of the village. And they connect to the village still.
It was.
And that's not just the calendar, but she pays people for the pictures.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, that's why I. Is that enough? It's a small amount, it's very small, and it's a big thing. And I know every house in Point Edward I go to has it hanging.
Yeah.
It's up everywhere I go.
Go to Warren's.
It's not.
But,
Ours is in the pantry, so
Yeah.
you wouldn't find ours.
you know that, I mean, if you give Shelley $1,000 extra.
Yeah.
She's gonna make good use, but you know that she gets, like, that's.
And I'm just thinking about acquiring photos and things like that.
She did this year's calendar for less than that,
Yeah, she's asked for an extra grand and we give it to her, so.
with the pictures, and she paid for the pictures. And she was able to do it for less than 6. But she went, I think she went slightly over budget,
Mhm.
and so that was why, so that's why the request went up to 6. So I'm happy with that. number.
Okay. Building improvements?
We've kind of just held off on the flooring and the lock at the front door, just because of the situation we're in. We have prices on those items from past years. We didn't get prices this year. The furnaces, this building has 2. They are requiring repair on a fairly regular basis, and so this, it says here labor not included. So I called them to find out what the price was for labor. Labor is included, so
But the price is up.
the price is up for about $400 higher, so.
So we're talking about 12.2?
Yeah,
The question I have is, why is the building of this size required 2 furnaces? Could we put in one big one? Is it a redundancy? Is it? This is not much bigger than somebody's house or a big house. It should be as one furnace. I'm just curious why.
I wouldn't think so, Greg, just the way the duct system works. I
Right.
don't know, I'm getting asked, but I wouldn't think about it.
Did it
Because you
need
got 2
2?
different types of duct systems going either way.
Right.
Probably have to read.
So you're saying it does need 2 or?
Like, if you do a furnace in a house, there's a calculation you're supposed to do and tell you what, you have so many returns.
Right.
The way this place has been chewed up and renovated.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but you need to ask.
Yeah, I can ask the question.
So plus, with having a separate one downstairs, and we're not downstairs most of the time, and unless the county guy comes, we don't turn that heat up as high.
Also, one furnace is upstairs, one is downstairs.
Yeah, I think that's.
I think that's the way it's working.
I don't know about it.
There's 2 controls, right? We have one upstairs, we have one down.
Oh,
That would mean there's an upstairs, downstairs.
yeah, okay, yep.
So that was now 12,265 because they're,
Because they could zone it too, you can zone.
Yeah.
But then you get into more expensive too, so.
Just on that, is that and air or just
The air conditioning units are good, like they're,
to confirm that?
are there 2 of them? Yeah, there must be.
There must be 2.
And they're, one of them for sure is almost brand new. So yeah, it's just the air handling and stuff in the base.
Yeah, I didn't confirm that before.
But again, that's 2 more furnaces. We'll always talk about, if we're looking at all this, we can talk to one person and maybe.
Yeah.
And Abrams do them all, yeah.
Whoever, yeah.
Yeah, whoever.
Just a comment, just before I lose it, on the front door. We were having hard issues on the door, like I was actually having to use my elbow to pound my key in the door to make it work. Someone came, I think you asked somebody from Public Works, and he oiled them or something, and now my key just. And that's where the idea came from, this keyless entry.
no,
Yes,
it didn't
the
come
lock
from
is
that, it came from me getting locked out.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry,
That
it's
counts, you,
it's so hard to get in
So
here.
this is Tina's request.
We talked about it at the time, it was like, Data trying to open the door, but now it's slick.
Okay. A new chair for the receptionist area.
The chairs are,
It's an embarrassment.
it is an embarrassment. That shouldn't be out there.
That price seems a little rich for me.
That's slow.
It's-
Well, they probably average about 7 to
Yeah, I was gonna-
whatever, so that's just.
With
kinda like-
tax?
Yeah.
Okay.
They brought some samples over a while ago for trials. They're all running around.
Deck repairs, we do have one quote. That would fit under that 20,000, not by much, but it's under that, and there might be another option. The one option we have, there's some health and safety concerns. The contractor needs to get some health and safety program put in place before he can do the job, but we're working through that, and if he doesn't want to work with us, we may have another option.
So we have one quote. And we're having difficulty getting certified. We looked at the other 2 quotes.
The other 2 quotes are nowhere near this price. There's a second option that might be coming forward that I think would be very close to this number, I think. Don't have anything written on paper yet, so I don't know for sure. But a second option, I believe, is coming forward that will be in that same ballpark. we got another new quote this year that was pretty. And so this is to use the existing frame and just replace the riveting and the depth. And then some additional work, like this side obviously needs some more work done on it, and I'm pretty sure the other side has been in good. I think once you start taking the deck boards off the other side, you're gonna find some issues there as well, so that's anticipated in that price. But yeah, I got a quote this year from a contractor for 35,000 to do that. Same. So.
And this has been 5 years? At least we've been talking about this, or this?
I think 9.
9
From my first term.
You don't remember that?
Yeah.
A long time ago, my heel went through, I saw I was wearing high heels, that's a long time ago.
It's been here as long as I
Yeah.
have.
So it needs to be done. It's becoming, well, it seems.
So the 20,000 is a placeholder, and you get a project, then you bring it back,
Well, no, I think this is approval to go ahead with this project.
okay,
I see this.
Up to 20 grand.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do 20,
Because I know we've
According
had
to the
choir.
ones.
over the years,
Yeah.
so.
Price is right.
yes.
10,000 for Christmas in the village, which is us, we spent for how many years? It's been that number for a long time, but.
She came in even slightly under. So it was, the money worked out.
Election reserve, we'll spread the cost of election over 4 years. Contribute to a reserve each year. Special events in waterfront park, so this is Canada Day / community recognition program with OLG. $10,000 is what we've spent, well, we haven't spent it for about 3 years, but that's what we were spending on that event, and then. OLG usually gives us some money for that, and Gateway has indicated an interest in partnering with us on that as well, so we might.
Last time
Leverage.
Laura Power was involved as
I think
well.
So I think they sponsored
participated.
something.
Yeah.
So, use that to leverage some further contributions. So the security alarm, there's no money there because we had that 10,000, which we've now already applied to the project, so it's 10,000 budgeted last year. It's gonna be allocated to the arena project.
Yeah, but did you get pricing on the film for the windows and all?
We haven't, no.
So should we not be putting money in with that somewhere?
Um,
I just think security, I would like to see us put 5,000 into that security alarm line.
it's, so my intent was to use that 10,000 towards. I mean, I wanted to see what happened today, really was my intent.
But
was to-
Didn't we already give it to the arena?
We did,
Okay.
so, but I just found it today.
Right,
So-
okay.
So, yeah, I think
I-
it would be appropriate.
I think we have, without going too, I think we have some gaps in our security, and I think we need to continue moving forward. All it takes is one break-in or one thing that, and then we panic, so. If we put 5,000 back in to allow you to move forward on some of the recommendations from OPP.
I mean, you might even want to consider going, because I don't know what the cost estimate is, but that was recommended at multiple locations. I mean, we can put it all in this budget, but use it different.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But 5, I was gonna say 10.
Okay, I'm okay with 10. And
So-
and then, yeah, 10 would be in this budget. You would,
You
Yeah.
can
All of that?
remove it then.
Well,
I say put
I
the 10
tried.
back in,
yeah,
and then Jim would just, wherever the film goes.
Yeah.
you just put the film, it's the village-wide amount for improving security.
So we put in,
And is the recommendation.
everybody agree with that?
sure.
75?
Again, I'd just like to see if we can leverage it to reduce our insurance costs, you know, to
Sure.
follow up on that original comment that I made, if there's some way that if we're investing in our security, that somehow it's gonna benefit us on our operating line.
But the other, that's a good point, but the disruption to service by preventing a break-in.
Yeah.
Is right there. If somebody breaks into the arena and wrecks the ice and we have to close for a week, that would paper right then and there, right? Or somebody breaks into here and affects our servers or whatever, so the prevention of a break-in would paper itself right there.
So this would be for all of the buildings in the village?
Yeah, it would. I don't know if there's enough to do all the buildings, but it wouldn't necessarily just here.
No.
We would see what,
This is a village-wide
Is this gonna be an overlap to what we saw in the arena budget?
So we use that money this on the cameras for the arena budget. I mean, this will be for security concerns in general, but one of the main ones we would look at would be this film for the windows and some there.
But it could
And then
also
it
be
might
like
also be a camera somewhere, like,
Or the alarm system.
yeah, different options there.
So what's our final number here? Greg, just 10?
75 sounds
I
right.
said 75, so. I don't know,
Even at 75.
even though it's
I
75.
like it.
It's 0.1%.
No,
We haven't
you don't
got
have
percent side yet.
percentages.
No,
We're not even on that side. But we're
So
still.
then, eScribe, that's our, everyone knows what eScribe is, that's just our annual cost for that. Put in $2,500 for an upgrade for microphones for the council chambers to.
Well, this is a camera.
Then
Is that camera or microphone?
actually, the system I've been looking at is both, like, so system of both
That's a combo.
microphone and
That
camera.
company has looked like we got halos.
Oh, no.
So I'm not convinced we need a second camera. I think where we're lacking is the audio quality that we put out. I'm supportive of the 2,500, but I personally prefer to go towards audio and hopefully improving this camera.
Okay.
The second camera is just gonna complicate what we're doing already, and
Just call it
Improve this.
improvement.
like the one up there.
For audio.
The light and all that stuff, they're not replacing it, just finding what's wrong with it.
Okay,
I think the audio is where our shortcoming is.
Add another microphone in.
Another one, or we all get a microphone in our position so that we're heard clearly.
so. Reflect everyone's.
I'll just change the wording to audio upgrade.
Website renewal, I think there's a good option in the $10,000 under that limit. And probably, I can probably then have a year's support for that number, so. I mean. I think that's a good number. Okay. Or if a company on that one, so. My head was swimming the other day.
The consensus on that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that
Provisions,
positions us for other enhancements in the future.
Yeah.
We'll get our website. up.
Both self-serve and. yeah, all
Will,
kinds of-
will council be, like, will we get to talk about what's happening on the website, like, will we get input on what the website update looks like?
not normally, but you can, I mean, if you have some ideas.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear them. And like, so, and the other thing is they'll spend X number of weeks developing the site and then it's beta testing or something, testing of some sort. And you can have a look at it that time. And if there's things you'd like to change before it goes live, you'll definitely have that opportunity. And then the next item is bringing over 375 from the operating. Bringing over, sending 375 over the operating side to help with the operating budget.
You might, you guys talk with that?
Can we come back to that after we review operating, right, to see where we're at after?
Well, Mike, I just wanted to comment, I thought we had a commitment to reduce that annually where we can. We were down to 325, were we not?
No, we're at status quo.
Didn't we hit a year of 350?
No, it
I
got,
thought I saw that one, there's one chart in here.
we wanted to, and then at budget time, we had to go back because if we reduce this, then we're looking for more on the operating side, because we're not bringing as much over.
Yeah, so like if we reduce this to 325 right now,
Mhm.
we're increasing the tax rate by 2%, by
Another
2%.
I'm okay with that.
So,
So,
But there was I saw one here where there was
there's been a couple, like I would say the last 2 or 3 years, our preliminary budgets have shown 325 and we've gone back to 375. So that maybe. is
Through
what-
COVID,
I was say, we got impacted
through
through
COVID,
COVID.
we couldn't move
Right.
forward with
And-
increasing that number.
just for Lauren's benefit, this is still good, because we started at like 800 and some thousand.
So we did get down.
transferred over. So over the years, we've been trying and then COVID hit. We don't want to be dependent on casino money.
Right.
But right now, we're still recovering.
And with all the cuts you made today, this number will be reduced at all?
The tax increase,
No, the amount that we are putting over.
See, that's what we're-
No, that's what we're
Right,
telling
right,
you that
right.
we do.
yeah,
Yeah,
If we slash and burn operating, we could reduce that number.
okay.
okay. And then emergency reserve to balance budget, that's what will be other conversations, you know, that involves the operating side. Mat reserve unallocated, that's nothing right
No,
now.
Jim, the emergency reserve and balanced budget is that everything stays the same right now. We're in the good of 22,766. So to balance the budget, we could put that 22,000 there. Unless we go back and make any changes, further changes.
But that would basically be
So-
adding to what we're chasing over from reserves, like that'd be going the wrong way. We'd be taking more money from reserves. Offset the operating budget.
No, if we want to balance this budget, right now, we're at a 22,766 surplus.
Okay.
So in the past, unless we don't make any more changes, we just put it to the reserve.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay. Right. Nothing for the official plan of the county. The transit subsidy, that's people, there's people on ODSP and seniors and students get a grant subsidy for transit, and we used to budget about 4,000, we're down to budget 500 for that.
Basically, the bus tickets.
Just back one,
Oh,
yeah.
yep.
On the official plan, that carry forward of 36,470, is it
No.
still sitting there?
It got moved over. I just haven't changed it.
Okay. That was my concern. I thought we found money.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and then the grants and donations
I have to look at-
on the first one. It's up to you.
Technically,
Yes, technically we should.
So-
Do that now, okay.
and nothing to there being described. We'll help you with that.
Oh,
So Gridview School Parent Council, 14,695. And they've sent information what they're what they're proposing to use that money for.
Jim, did you want to bring that
The
to that?
donations tab. With that.
Okay.
You there?
Yeah.
Before we start on this, just wanted to highlight that. You can confirm, we have $40,709.58 in reserves. For capital donations promotions.
Yes.
My going in number is 40,000, we can use the reserves,
That's what we did last year.
we capped the donations at 40,000. So,
Capped it. I don't know what you're saying.
well, that's, we don't donate anything more than 40,000 out of the reserve.
What's the reserve amount, Jim? I don't have that sheet.
40,709.
oh, I see it.
That's what we did last year, we used the reserves only.
But we used to allocate 75,000.
Yes,
So, and then last year, because of our situation, we cut it down to 41,600, and that's where we brought over the money.
Yeah.
So you can
You
still
still have
bring
that
over that
situation.
40,000. But you could still use a little bit of, if they still wanted, everybody that has a request.
So the school, can we do it as two items?
Absolutely.
Sure.
You said 14,000, but it's actually two requests, right?
two requests. I agree with the 10,000.
I support that.
The mural, I don't agree with at this point in time, because we're cutting back everywhere and that was, I don't see that as necessary, whereas the list they gave us that they want to spend the money on, I'd like to see that happen. But for the mural. My going in.
I agree talk to Mondu, I think the murals an extra. I always ask the question about the necessities involved with putting the money into the program for the kids for their enjoyment. And, yeah, I don't see the mural doing something this year that that might be something they would fundraise for or do something else.
I think there's other options there, and we talked about it, maybe we were there possibly.
Yeah, I agree. I want the money to go to the tangible items, like
Yeah.
the electronics cabinet and the chairs that they didn't have.
Yeah.
And the mural it's an excellent idea, but we can't afford it right now.
And I don't think we want, which is,
Come on, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we're,
it's lovely.
Yeah.
We also don't know what the future of that room holds. Because we might put a $5,000 mural up and then maybe learn comments, we really school that has a plan. And I think what happens if the school decides to fundraise for it and finds multiple donors, then we might donate towards it.
Yeah.
But I don't think funding it 100% is the village's job. So if they try to raise 5,000 for it, we might donate 500 towards it.
I think about the mayor's account.
Yeah, something like that.
Small
Yeah,
donation,
yeah.
yeah.
So I support it, but I don't think we should support, we're not on the for 100% of it.
Exactly.
So 10,000, we're in agreement.
And then,
Take the 46.95 out.
Yeah.
Then we have Blue Coast Primary Care Recruitment and Retention, $2,100.
We've already approved.
Yeah, Lori,
Yeah.
come back.
and we already approved.
Lauren, I just, with Blue Coat, I always feel that, I know they only ask us for $1 per resident, but the value they bring to life and health and everything, it just seems like we're not, but I know that's all they ask for, so.
Well, I get your point, I really do, but until the other communities start stepping
Yes.
up, because
Yes.
it really bothers me that only Sarnia and Point Edward are contributing, but now I believe
maybe-
Atlantic Shores is going to start.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and Petrolia has a different pace because of they support their system out there, their,
Yeah.
We're done.
so I feel like we would be subsidizing everyone else.
I agree.
So,
I just think the value we get for the donation is
Yeah.
huge, and I'd love to give them more, but at the same time, that's all they ask. for,
yeah,
so.
well,
The change this year is can we make it, and she's asked for a 3-year commitment. We can do that.
we did approve it, did we not?
Well, not officially, this is the
Oh,
approval.
I thought we did.
No,
I don't remember doing it.
Okay.
There's no motions made.
no, there's no motions, but this would be approved today. Like a 3-year
Yeah.
commitment, that would take us through to the end of our term.
4-year would take you to your term, actually, but whatever.
Oh, well, she's asking for 3, so we'll give it 3.
So that's what it said.
Awesome. Okay, 3-year, good.
You know, the Good Shepherd for 500.
Now, Tina and I, neither of us have any record of where this request came from. And I don't, it showed up on the sheet, but
Yeah, I don't know.
really why.
Mary Ann, I thought you made a donation to the Good Shepherd out of your account.
I
Last year.
did previously, but, I haven't had any correspondence from them for some time. And I had spoke to them before about how we like to get letters, we requested and that. And, I would leave that one as we wait and see later in the year, if we could get some money out of the mayor's account to the grocery program or the produce program that they have or something like that.
And that is what we did last
Yeah,
time.
we did it.
We
late
did
in the
that
year.
because the request came in, or I don't even know if it was a request, it was through COVID.
Yeah.
And they were
They were
short of funds.
yeah, so I would
So-
take it off for now.
Take that off.
It just seems like such a small amount.
Yeah,
If we throw them a $500 donation, they're just wrong. They do such great work in the community. I don't know, it's,
But I can take it off the other list,
but it's still.
Yeah.
It's,
or leave it there, it doesn't matter. What
Yeah,
I,
we know what they do. and
Yeah.
they're
We can
legit.
leave it.
I see we just leave it at 500.
yep,
leaving it?
And the next one is Noel's gift.
Secret Santa,
Well, what about the plowing association? I see their letters in there, but there's no dollar amount here. They're asking for $500.
I wonder if that's the one. Maybe
because
it's
I've
in the
never
wrong
seen that
line.
before.
Oh, maybe the 500 is in the wrong line.
Oh, I think it is.
That's what it is.
I think so.
Because the letter for the plowing association is in the book.
That's-
no, I don't think they have.
Oh, no, this is something new. Yeah.
Well, does anybody have a problem with $500 for that?
Nope.
Okay, so then go back to the random, the good stuff, or,
We'll give,
We'll leave that. alone.
we can give them.
give them, that's gonna be an additional fine.
Yeah.
And then, what else? gives us nothing? Next one is pathways for 2000 to Santa. Something we've done basically yearly. Okay,
Yeah, I can.
and, the next one is the, pathways, the Ike and Bike program that they're asking for basically us to cover the cost of hearing for them, for that program. They're gonna cover all the other costs, so that, 4675, is that okay?
Yeah, okay.
Everybody okay with that?
I think it's a donation in kind,
Yeah.
so it's, from our standpoint, it's easy to donate. And
Yeah.
I think it'll bring a lot of awareness to the village, and it's a great program. My daughter participated in it in another community, and it's a good program. Thanks for their comment.
Okay,
Well,
now we got FEMA.
So Paul, they saw their conflict here.
I'm gonna play some play hockey.
And I volunteer my time.
Yeah, there you go.
How many kids play these are?
So just, if you could do this long enough for us to have lunch, sure.
you're ready.
I
Um,
believe it.
I can smell it.
Okay, so they're, in their note, in their letter, it says 20, and then they said they'd like if we could give them 25, but I'll recommend 20, back to it, similar reasons before. We are totally flush with cash, and just keep our status quo donation.
Yeah, if they can manage with 20, I recognize that they had the additional expenses with the rebranding, and we're certainly thankful that they were able to get through that program and get the new shirts and get the logo that was acceptable to everybody. So I know they have additional costs, but if they can manage with the 20,
I'm in favor of 20.
Yeah, I'm good. I would have went to 25, but if I started at the 20, then
I would go part way. I would on 22.
50. I think it's really important for the, like, I don't, we don't say here anymore, but it brings people to the snack bar, like,
Yeah.
into the village. I think it's important that we have the program and we support them.
And those shirts, they still have to buy more shirts. I go 22.
22,
22.5?
That's,
Is that how
you want 22.5? Go on.
Okay.
Or
22.5.
two good one.
I'll agree with you.
45 then?
22.5.
So, I mean, recognizing that we can't go all the way, because.
Yeah, but-
cutting every-
And also recognizing that quarter minor is more than hockey.
Oh, right,
Soccer as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So
And-
I think people get tunneled to hockey
Right.
only. And it's not, it's
No,
a
we're
bigger
in this-
program than that.
We're in the soccer program, but.
Yep.
Big baseball may come on, and who knows?
It makes our diamond up.
Yeah.
You see those soccer
Derek.
fields in the summer, and none of the cool brings to all the businesses downtown.
I know, do I? No, it's direct, not direct. I'm not the mother.
Okay, there's nothing else on our list there. So we're good.
Okay.
For that, I don't know what the total is. That, yeah, they can come back in.
42, 275.
42, 75.
We're doing just fine.
Over my number.
And then there's the match packs.
Yeah, the sponsorships, and that's where the Plowman's Association is.
There.
Oh,
Because it's a sponsorship rather than.
So that's-
I don't have it on mine.
I don't know what I need.
I have it on mine.
So you want me to put down the map?
You cut it 5?
Yeah, because it's a sponsorship.
cut me 10 to the 5.
That was my thinking.
No, it doesn't.
Really doesn't.
It really is.
Let's leave it.
There.
If you got it there somewhere, that's fine.
Give that back.
Recognizing the
So,
still expensive. with shirts.
Now you're saying the plowing association should come out of the top and go in the bottom.
No, I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah.
because
No, $500 is not worth improving.
So we're all on the same page. So as far as sponsorships and the mat tax, the anglers, that's 5,000. That check's been written already, hasn't it?
Yes.
No,
Oh, sorry.
no.
He picked
No,
up a check.
we approved it, I thought.
We pre-approved it, but. it's not-
But I haven't been asked to write it down.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought.
Normally, we say if that money's up to the second one, 500 for anglers, that's good. Grand Fondo for tree,
Jim, can you move the picture up, please? There, thank you.
Fondo
The
for
Grand
tree.
Fondo, I saw it. In their letter, it said that you've already paid and here's your receipt.
Probably would have been for last year.
Oh, okay.
It's part of the money.
And do we, like, I'm not a big in the, but can we see the benefit in that? Is there?
There's a picture of people come from out of town.
Yeah, yeah.
Stay at a hotel,
Okay.
in their restaurants.
Yes,
If we had an update at our Trails Committee, I think there's like 750 registered already, and a lot of those are from other towns.
And
This is one of the top Grand Fondos in Canada.
And the money raised goes to palliative training. As opposed to going to office and stuff, it goes to train the staff and the nurses, and now they've been able to move the training to a yearly thing, and they bring people from all over southwestern Ontario to the training.
Good.
The last one was done at, the Oaks in, Grand Bend, and it was filled up and sold out. And he's offered many times, he's got a great video to show what they did with the money and about the program, so they said they'd come in and find out. And
Kendall Ross was a lot of work for them. Candidate committee, it's 10,000. In the past, we gave given 8.
Last year we gave 8, before that we didn't give. I mean,
Okay, no, we gave 2 or something, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't really do a Canada Day ourselves last year, and that's part of the reason we gave them so much last year. We're spending 10 on our own Canada Day. So that's what they've asked for is 10.
Knowing that we're gonna have our own candidate.
they've asked us to actually sponsor, our 10 would go towards the entertainment before the fireworks is what's in the letter. That night would be brought to you by the village of Port Edward, is what I read in the letter.
And this is not tax.
you know, the VAT tax is to support the broader community.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really good way to demonstrate that because everybody, I mean, a lot of people from Pioneer attend fireworks because we don't have one. Yeah. So I'm supportive.
I have no problem with 10,000 for this. Anybody else?
I-
I'm good? Okay.
Yeah.
Celebration of Lights, 6,000.
Now, that's jumped up quite a bit.
They have to replace a lot of what they had. I think that was the plan where they were gonna have some more. I just wanted from going to the awards night this year it's been 20 years, I think, since inception, and now they're at the life cycle. I would say, like maybe we could drop it a bit.
Want to see, is there one of the letters that doesn't have an amount that says?
There's a number there must be in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's not there. It just said. Well, no, that's the parade, doesn't have a number.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know
Yeah.
they're on the rebound again. They're, you know, as the mayor said, they're trying to replace some equipment and stuff, and it's becoming, it's essential for, you know, it's not,
They did get some
it's
grant
counties and stuff as well.
purchase some of
Last year, they did a really good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in favor of supporting them with
Very
it.
good seal letter. from someone.
I don't either.
It's
It's really,
Yeah.
And they're going to lose some money.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening on the other side of there. Please lost forward.
Did it get delivered to the house? I didn't get it.
Okay, on this side of the table, we agree with 6,000.
Well, and Councilor Birch pointed out, they followed the process and did our proper grant application and asked for 6, so I have to give it a link.
Yeah.
That's a great event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Rib Fest, 1,500. If you don't have a letter.
Yes, they do.
They circulated like their
They're advertising, yes.
She sent a letter. I gave it to you.
But you had to chase it down, didn't you?
No, I had it and had sent it. I think it got lost because she sent it to me in January
Oh, okay.
and I resent it to Jim in the last 2 weeks from.
So
It's,
this is what we committed last year. We just do the same because there again, it's a tourism event.
The only concern is, I didn't see a $1,500 package in their thing they sent us. There was, but this, the new one doesn't have a
Oh.
1,500. I didn't see anything for 1,500. What do you see there?
The 1,000 for bronze sponsor, Friends of Ribfest 500,
And it was up to
2,500 for silver sponsor, 2,500 gold.
30,000.
I don't think that's changed from last year. I think last year we decided 15, even though it didn't fit into their structure.
Right.
That's my
I
recollection.
think so too, Tim.
That's my recollection on that. We decided 15.
We're a friend and
Yeah,
a
we're-
silver.
Yeah.
We're friends and like.
So should we try and fit their structure or?
We get our logo on them. I don't know what difference
Is
it
it
makes.
coming back to, because I was at the college for a couple of years, is it coming back to
It went back last year.
last year?
Last year was in person,
But it's not. a
not the
college.
drive-through.
It was,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was.
it's not.
It's not
Centennial
back.
Park.
It was
Centennial
drive-
Park.
yeah, we did.
Centennial Park.
Last year was back.
It's got Centennial, June 20, or June 16th, 18th. A couple of unions have the big sponsorships already, it says.
What
So
we
do
do,
you want to go there up or down to meet their?
I'd be comfortable with
The packages?
2,500 given the tourism
Yeah.
that it provides, but
So
Okay,
okay, I can do that.
Yeah, that one's the silver.
you need 2,500 for Ribfest?
So that will decrease your playground stuff.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Take those three.
Santa Claus Parade, 2,500.
goes out.
That's good. Everybody okay?
Yeah.
If I just have one
We've got the
question
Carolyn and Bob.
Yep. Go ahead.
through you.
That's too many.
I know we donated to St. Joseph's Hospital for a number of years. That commitment ended. Should we still be, I know they didn't send us a letter, but should we still be supporting that? Or just wait for them to contact us or such a valuable part of this community? Should we make a donation this year in memory of Councilor Gordon, who used the services of just a one-time in his memory?
We will be making a donation. We talked to Shelley about it, but I forget what they asked for.
Braintree.
Yeah, it wasn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't. We gave for 5 years. I'm okay with taking a year off
Okay.
until we review.
Okay.
And I will tell you, like, you know this. They are one of the organizations that get the most donations of anybody, like, in town, because they, I mean, everybody knows about it and it's a good service and they get a lot of donations, so maybe they're not as needy right now. I don't-
Yeah, they didn't reach out to us.
No,
so
so I would
Okay. fair
I'd be
enough.
okay with taking a break.
Good.
After 5 years.
So that's the end of the sponsorship. So we have a total here,
29,500.
9,500, from 1,000. Where we started. Okay, now.
Oh, no, because now the other one went down 1,000, because you added here. So it
Does make a difference.
Yeah,
doesn't make
okay,
a difference. It's just
Yeah.
reallocating.
yes. And the promotions budget, 25,000. That's what it's been in the past. Any issue with that? That's basically the mayor's account.
Yeah,
Is that what we refer to it as?
well, and
And other things?
And we use it for things that, like, we gave to, BC for the flooding and we gave to the fires in
Fort McMurray.
Fort McMurray. So sometimes it's a slush fund if something happens in our world that we want to contribute to. The money we draw from there, and that's where I was thinking we would, later on this year, we can talk about giving to the end and seeing where their needs are in each of their programs. So that could come from there.
So keep that at 25, everybody okay?
But you also do like anniversary plaques and birthday plaques out of that, don't you?
Yeah, and the small donations,
Yeah.
you know, $100 to a student.
Yeah.
And, I gave to, the Lambton Farming Safety, they're gonna do Safety Day again.
Yeah.
So I gave a few hundred there, because we supported them before.
Okay.
So those small ones come out of there,
So
smaller ones.
if you don't want to revisit anything that was cut, the surplus right now is 29,461. And in the past, we've just put that to the emergency reserve to balance the budget.
So I would suggest we take a break now.
Yep.
Just doing that for a
Really?
while, have lunch. I'm going to stop the live feed. And anybody that's watching and wants to come back, I think we'll come back 1:15. That gives us a little over 30 minutes. Is that reasonable to people?
Yep.
Okay, so anyone that's watching unpublished will be back at 1:15.
Thank you.